Hello, hello. Actually, we'll do this. We'll push the button that makes my face big. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15, whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Tonight we're going to be playing a game at the recommendation of Brad Pritchard, one of my good streaming friends, MediEvil, which I have so far described as a cross between Spyro the Dragon and The Nightmare Before Christmas. So, let's see how it's going to work out, but yes, welcome to the stream. I am me, you are you, it's Monday night, and this is the time to be here. We've got fancy hats, we've got all kinds of things. I just realized I don't have my second hat spin on, so we got to get this in place. There we go. Now we can get the double hat spin going on for all of you lovers of hat spinning. So yeah, welcome to the stream, everybody. There we go. We gotta adjust everything here. I almost forgot the importance of double hat spins. So there we go. Yeah. But if he goes and gets it himself, he won't be able to watch me, Matus. And we all know that the most important thing is to watch me. Let's put our zebras away for now. We don't need any zebras at the moment. But yeah. So welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. It is Monday night. I have not. I have not prepared anything. I have no pre-recorded CPG rant. I have nothing. It's like I'm just like a normal streamer who's gonna sit here and play some video game no one's ever heard of, and yeah. So you know, it's just trouble here. Can I kill this thing? I got a book to read. Book, tell me if I can kill this statue. Welcome back to my beloved blah blah blah, and there are zombies that want to attack to me. Why is today all days? Today of all days, war never changes. I was actually just watching, Ahoy has a channel where he's done a bunch of documentaries, and it was one about how the Soviet era created video games or something else like that. Something like that. I don't know. It's like an hour-long documentary, and I'm only like 10 minutes into it. So I still got some ways to go to understand what he's talking about, but I just love his accent, and his, like, documentary stuff is great and everything else like that. So, these enemies have sick dance moves. Yeah, they're, like, so the problem that I have with this, right, is, like, okay, yeah, like, these enemies are not exactly, like, surprising in quality given the era that they're in, but they feel, like, more cartoony. These, like, silly little skinny legs are just very strange, and I don't fully understand it, and so I just, like, am wandering around and being like, blah, 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 like, hit the guys who are waving their arms in circles, but it feels very strange. So they're doing their dance moves and everything else, and, yeah. Alright. Alright. I think I can go in here by placing this rune. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here some more. Okay. Found a chaos rune. There's like this weird red thing over here. Anyway, yeah, so for those of you who are not members of the Google Observing clan, there was a large kerfluffle over a document theoretically written by a Googler and leaked. Actually, I guess Google commented publicly, so written by a Googler and leaked to Gizmodo and stuff like that this weekend. And so I spent a bunch of the weekend kind of following along with that drama, participating in a small amount of it, and generally feeling drained by it because, you know, as has been probably clear from my time in streaming, you have probably seen the fact that I am a, you know, ultra left-wing social justice warrior type, and so reading the ill-informed, inappropriate screeds of coworkers is not exactly what I want to spend time doing. But when they become massively popular within Google and relatively well known outside of Google, obviously this is something that does exist, and I feel a responsibility to try to take some of the weight of, you know, talking about it and defending it away from the marginalized people like women and people of color who were affected by it, and into a different space. So that is part of what I have spent my weekend and today doing, is explaining to the various people who have been around in, does this like open the gate? How do I get through there? I want to get through there. Let me in. Let me in. Doesn't let me in. Okay, I guess I'll go this way. Explaining to people that, like, you should not, as a woman, have to defend the idea that women can be just as good at, you know, engineering as men. Like, that's not, it should not be called into question, the idea. This is not something that you should have to debate. It is not the case that you should have to question your entire, you know, career at your employer because some non-trivial or, you know, non-infinitesimal portion of male coworkers have this erroneous and insane idea that you are less valuable because of your, you know, ovaries or, I don't know, uterus or hormones, who God knows which thing he's calling into question. Okay, the Master of the Hilltop Mausoleum, the Stained Glass Demon, has possession of the Skull Key, which I do not think that I have yet. There is a chalice over here, but I don't seem to be able to get that either. Does hitting this thing do anything? Oh, okay. I had her facing the wrong way. There we go. Now can I get this chalice? No. What does the book tell me? Tell me something, book! Tell me something, book! Tell me that you like it, yeah! Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Hello, Goth Teen, welcome to the stream. Every time I dispatch an enemy, the chalice fills a little bit more. I can be Sacred Hall of Heroes, chalice found in every blah blah blah. Okay. I don't care about completion, so Van Helsing, I think it is generally, I mean, the answer is there's no good answer for that question, right? Like, the IQ study of differences between races comes back down to the kind of common trope of you know, this class of people is less, is worth less than I am here. And that's a common thing. So you asked for a day off. That's excellent, Jose. Oh, well, so I think that in general his argument was that our diversity programs are poorly suited for accomplishing hiring the best, right? So if you're going to start from the position of you know, by hiring women who are clearly, you know, or who may be less, on average, less biologically suited to programming because, you know, clearly biology has a lot to do with that, you're going to be, you know, risking this. And so IQ studies around both people of color and women who he sees as being helped by diversity programs, not because it's like removing systematic biases in the system, but out of some sense of, you know, lowering the bar, then making the argument that they have lower IQs is, you know, one of the things that you can do to theoretically bolster that argument. You're gonna be a junior, congratulations. So yeah, if your argument is our diversity programs are lowering the bar on who we hire, which does not make sense, but appeared to be at least part of his argument, then the argument is that, you know, well, of course it's lowering the bar because, you know, people of color have lower IQs. It's not true. That study is been like IQ tests are a terrible test of everything, and so the idea that they would be a useful test in this case is silly. But yeah, I think that's approximately the way that the argument goes. Now I'm actually old, Van Helsing. Actually, are you older than me? I don't think you are. Welcome to the Hall of Heroes, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what you silly faces have to tell me, I don't think. Pay homage to the heroes, stand in front of their blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about paying homage to the heroes.
Captain Fortescue, it's me, Canny Tim. Does the battle go well?
Not too good.
How I wish I could fight at your side again, sir. But hold, you could take my crossbow. It's got rapid fire and you can ricochet the darts off walls to shoot around corners. I used it at the Battle of Gallowmere. After you were slain, I shot Zarek's champion, Lord Kardok. A clean kill through the eye.
Okay. Yes, I will take your crossbow.
Not that there's anything clever about shooting. Oh.
Alright, I got a crossbow. Okay, so I guess activating these chalice things is useful because it gives me weapons. So that's good to know. So I've got the ability to change weapons. I've got a small sword, I've got a crossbow, and I've got some throwing daggers now. I'm going to switch back to my sword because I at least know how to use that. And we can get out of here maybe? Somehow? Yes, I will leave the Hall of Heroes. Yeah, so overall the argument was around... I mean, it's silly, right? And so one of the problems here is that obviously this is not an appropriate thing to share at work because the entirety of like what you're saying is, I think that women are less able to be software engineers. Like that's a problematic thing for you to say because you work with women. Like, saying that women are worse at this on average means that you are impugning an entire half of the species' ability to do their job. And in the same way that you wouldn't say, like, you know, with no evidence, I think that everyone with red hair can't do their jobs. Yeah, I don't care about you. You can't say that women can't do their jobs. You can't say that people who wear dresses instead of pants can't do their jobs. You can't say these things because, like, the stereotypes like that about a large class of your coworkers are harmful. Like, like even just debating them is harmful. On the other hand, of course, if he had done like most people have done and just like posted this via throwaway account on Hacker News, then he would have been, you know, sharing his opinions with a cesspool of people who oftentimes agree with these particular things. And in fact, Hacker News reverses the 1 in 4 men agree and reverses it to, you know, 1 in 4 men disagree as part of its nature in creating a toxic, you know, environment where these ideals are celebrated rather than rejected. It's bad. It's just bad. All right, destroy the boulder and plunder the treasures within. Okay, I don't seem to be able to destroy the boulder. So yeah, so you can't discuss this at work because it is inappropriate to discuss at work. It's not an acceptable thing to do. You shouldn't have these feelings in general because they're bigoted, and in the same way that you shouldn't feel that, you know, people who are black have a lower IQ or are less intelligent. Lower IQ they might have because IQ is the stupidest test of, like, arbitrary social, you know, socially ingrained knowledge ever, and is a bad test for anything. But, you know... It's amazing how if you take an entire population, which has been in the same way that if you took urban public school students, they might do more poorly at IQ tests or anything else like that. Like, when you take people who've been socialized and trained in a particular way, they fail at things that are testing different parts of knowledge or intelligence or anything else like that. It's dumb. I don't know. Like, at this point, I've just been, like, refreshing Twitter and being sad, and then refreshing Twitter and being sad again, because there's just all this, like, garbage, like, there's just so many people who are like, oh yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with this document. Like, what do you mean you can't, like, of course women are worse at engineering, of course women are worse at this, of course this and that and that, and it's just sad. It's sad, and it's exhausting, and it's frustrating. And you can't even, like, meaningfully argue with people like that because they're not typically arguing in good faith, or if they are, they're arguing in good faith, like, against so much solid scientific documented evidence that you would have to be some kind of moron not to realize that every single one of them was absolutely false. You know, like, they're... yeah. Sorry, that was quoting a little bit from Weird Al's horoscope for today. Now you may find it inconceivable, or at the very least a bit unlikely, that the relative position of the planets and the stars can have a special significance or meaning that exclusively applies to only you. Let me give you my assurance that these forecasts and predictions are all based on solid scientific documented evidence, so you would have to be some kind of moron not to realize that every single one of them was absolutely true. Where was I? I mean, quotas are generally harmful. Like, most diversity programs are well suited to remove structural biases. That is what most diversity programs are for. And so I am not a hiring manager. I'm not anything else like that. But in general, I feel like that's a thing that is not, you know, a thing. Hello, CJ Lee and Kirk Bycroft and King of the Nest and Anime Blade and Adele Marie and Jack the Bong Ripper and Randomness took over and Charles Spencer and Boomer himself. Welcome to the stream. I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15 and whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Tonight we're playing MediEvil, a PS1 game which appears to be approximately a cross between Spyro the Dragon and The Nightmare Before Christmas. We are on our way to the 4th level here. Hello, hello. For those raids, we get the double hat spin going as we always do here. Well, I say always as if I haven't only been doing this for 1 or 2 weeks, but we got the double hat spin, we got the hat on the mic, we got the hat on the head, and it is good to see you all. I was just talking a little bit about my feelings about Google's current social woes as espoused by a manifesto written by an individual Google employee, which was shared over this weekend. A social faux pas in many ways. But, you know, yeah. Okay, get out of here, you stupid thing. Get right up. Oh, this club does not poke well. Alright. Oh, there we go. I was like, why am I not attacking with this? There we go. Hello, Shadow Bunny and Wayne Pruitt. Welcome to the stream. And my Geo, who I guess I didn't say hi to. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome all of you to the stream. Boomer is just like a routine here. He just like, he finishes his stream on Monday and he's like, you know what? I just want to watch some CPG. I just got to come in here and check him out every Monday. And I appreciate it so much. Yeah, Preston. I mean, it was couched in language along the lines of, due to, you know, this obvious scientific research, women are less capable as software engineers because they're, you know, more suited to social skills and they're more, you know, this and that, and so they're worse engineers. This has a lot of problems. One of the problems with it is that social skills are imminently necessary at any level of like software engineering that isn't the very basic level. Like you cannot succeed in software without social skills. And so like the very basic idea of is this even what you should be optimizing for is false. Like you need to optimize for people who have social skills. You need to optimize for people who have empathy and everything else like that. So ignoring whether women are better at it, you don't understand engineering. Like you are, you know, you are making comments on a document about, you know, what engineers need to be when apparently not knowing what engineers need to be, which is kind of disappointing. But then says, you know, and women are more likely to be neurotic and less able to deal with stress, and, you know, women like emotions and men like things, and all of these like blatantly, you know, ridiculous statements, which, you know, are far outweighed by individual variation over anything else. And all of this, of course, just comes from, and at the end attaches a number of things that we should eliminate, like programs that are, you know, woman-to-woman mentoring, or programs that are designed to, you know, examine our structural biases in hiring and see if there's ways to eliminate them, or other things like that. And so, like, this is kind of, he also did, I will admit, couch the entire document in a, like, Google is a, like, doesn't allow conservative opinions like mine, so, you know, I'm sure that I will be ridiculed for posting this document. And he is being ridiculed for posting this document, but not because it's a conservative position, but because it's a fundamentally wrong position. And it is absolutely a fundamentally wrong position to share at work with your, like, in that environment, because your workplace is not the place to say that half of the species cannot do the jobs that they're doing. Hello, Brett Ryan. Welcome to the stream. And so, yeah, I don't know what to do here. Hold on, let me see. I got the thing right here that can tell me what to do here. Alright, the Hilltop Mausoleum. Kill the imps, grab the thing, use it to smash up the coffins and jump into them. Okay. Da-da-da! There we go. What does this book tell me? Tell me something, book! Okay. Alright, so let's break our glass ceilings here, or walls, such as it were. But yeah, so, like, it is inappropriate to say all people with red hair are bad software engineers. It is inappropriate to say all black people are bad engineers. But apparently this guy thought that it was completely appropriate to say all women are, for biological reasons, like, clearly worse engineers. He quoted, you know, from some studies or whatever else like that, but these are the type of studies which are just massively debunked historically and offer no meaningful anything. But in a workplace environment, it doesn't even matter if those studies are real, because our, like, structural and fundamental problems which cause women to be less common in social engineering fields have nothing to do, relatively speaking, with their ability to program, and everything to do with you know, structural issues around their inclusion in various programs. I mean, Jess, when she was in 8th grade, was discouraged by the nuns from taking computer science classes, or I guess a freshman year, because, you know, women were not designed to be, you know, science majors. They were designed to be secretaries and everything else like that. And so, like, when you look at that, you have to realize that this is the environment that these people are starting from. Is that, you know, we have created this structurally failed system where we have discouraged women and others from pursuing these fields for decades. And you know, in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, what we had was a ton of people who were... I wonder if I've got anything that's better. Like, does this work? Oh, shoot. Yeah. Nope. Trying to figure out if I've got anything that can actually smash these. No. So I think I used up my club too quick. And so now I'm just screwed? I don't know what else to do. Hello, Dada, Roro, May May, and Robin Hood, by the way. I spent most of your PS1 hours on the Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII was definitely a cool game, and I do not blame you at all for spending a lot of your time on it. But yeah, so this was the recommendation from Brad Pritchard, who's there in the chat right now. I was telling him, what should I play? And he said, oh, all the games I want you to play are RPGs, except this one came to mind. So, hello, Kink Raiders. Hello, Aiden and Camilla. Welcome, welcome. The stained glass demon is the master of the mausoleum. His wretched soul is preserved in a frozen glass heart, shrouded in a veil of darkness. You will find his pure, frozen, pre-frozen menace. Hello, P-Man. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. For all of you who are here tonight, I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15, whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15, and oftentimes talking about the news, social, political, and otherwise of the day. I am a software engineer at Google working on YouTube's video infrastructure team, keeping your videos playing. Kink, good to see you, and Lindsay Hobbs, hello. I am happy to see you here. So yeah, if you have any questions about me, about the stream, about working at YouTube, or anything else like that, and yeah, so why 9:15? So when I started live streaming 2 years ago, I had 2 kids who were living with me in the house, and they would always, their bedtime, well, not their bedtime, but their time to put down computer devices and go towards bed time was at 9 o'clock. And because I streamed in my living room, I didn't have an office or anything else at the time. Like, I had to wait until the living room was at least mostly clear, otherwise I would have had nowhere to really play, and there would be people, like, walking around in my space while I was streaming. And so when I started, the goal was basically, like, 9 o'clock is when you put your devices down, and at 9:15 I can start, because I will actually have a living room that I can meaningfully, claim, and it will be fine. Thanks for subscribing. Hello, Alex Dolan. Hello, hello. I do make the world a better place to watch cat videos. Although my job title at work is actually, like, my mission at work is just don't get fired. I'm not always very good at it, but that is my goal. So, yeah. All right. So I'm guessing that this thing is fire. Okay, that's not good. I'm just not very good at this. Okay, I got some throwing daggers. So this is like his heart thing that I'm supposed to destroy. But yeah, so ever since I started when I had, you know, a small number. I had my girls who were in the house, and the only way I could play was to take over the living room, and 9:15 was when I thought I might have the living room back. I'm in Cambridge, yeah, so I am in the Eastern time zone. I go out to San Bruno every now and then, but not very often. I do work with a bunch of teams in San Bruno, especially the player infrastructure team, so I work with a team that works on writing the stuff that makes videos play, as well as other video infrastructure teams like the transcoding team. This is one of the reasons why the issue of YouTube video quality is one that is near and dear to my heart, and so it makes me sad that our 1080p is kind of a crappy, you know, resolution. That's something that I worry about. Not resolution, but bitrate. So that's something I worry about when people complain about that and talk about how to do better and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a thing I always worry about, and other things. Of course, for streamers, mostly the problem is not the video resolution that YouTube makes available, but just the general resolution that, like, or the bitrate that users can afford to upload. While it is certainly the case that some users have ridiculous upstream bandwidth, most users limit their upstream bitrate based on other things, but our 1080p is pretty low. That sounds good. I need to figure out if I'm gonna try and get out there for anything recently. I was just out there in June after VidCon, and I don't know if I'm gonna go back, but okay, yep, fine. Supplies. Let me see if I can buy it. Nope, I don't need any of those. I need another freaking club, but I can't figure out how to do this. Hello, Sam Does Gaming. Welcome, welcome. So, streams in 4K are already allowed, but the reality is that there are very few encoders that can do 4K reliably. We have worked with a couple partners to try and test out their 4K encoders, and what we found is that no one has yet made like an easy-to-use hardware encoder that does 4K well. So it'll be interesting to see if the next rev of things like Blackmagic and Elgato are actually able to deliver 4K content at, you know, reasonable, like, and not be broken. Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to see. I don't know what to do here. But yes, absolutely. I mean, the artifacts are basically, it comes down to YouTube made a lot of decisions about its bitrate at a time when YouTube didn't have higher resolutions to choose from, and so one of the tools that we use in order to determine if our bitrate is high enough is whether users were upscaling to a higher resolution. You can understand how if the highest resolution you have is 1080p and users don't have any ability to change up to something higher than that, that makes it hard to use the same tools. So I think what we have now works really well for about 90% of the content we have. Unfortunately, gaming content is among the worst performing stuff. So PUBG in particular is a nightmare. You know, dirt bike videos like you know, GoPro videos are another just terrible thing for typical H.264 encoding. And because all things are basically based on the same idea of encoding stuff for movies, that also applies to VP9 and other stuff like that as well. And so you get stuck in this place where we've picked bit rates which are good for the majority of users, but they're not, you know, meeting that last 5%, 10%, which almost all gaming content fits into. So that's why you run into problems, especially as a gaming creator, is these kind of narrow... There we go. I was like, I can't do anything with this, but hello, Dick Butt. 16K or we riot. I mean, you guys know, you've seen my coworker's like 8K display, right? He's got like 4K monitors set up. Okay, so I don't know where that went because I wasn't looking. I mean, the reality is that an issue that I struggle with as someone whose job it is to, you know, measure and deliver on QoE is that we already know how few people can watch in 1080p reliably. And so when you look at that and say, well, very few people can watch in 1080p reliably, like, what happens if we double the bitrate of that? Like, what happens if we increase these numbers, which are already too high for 90% of users, even more, when only like 2% of users watch 1080p, and it's going to cost us more bandwidth, and are people actually getting anything out of it, and all this kind of stuff, right? So it's a complicated decision factor, but we are getting close to, after a lot of work and discussion on it and conversation, I think we are getting close to making some moves in this way. And so it'll be interesting to see what the next, 6 months to a year looks like in this space. Wow, I don't think I'm going to survive this. What do I got to do here? Okay, so let me change weapons, because clearly, like, walking up to this guy is not an ideal choice. Uh-oh. I gotta put in a crystal. That seems bad. Okay, I can't hit him except when he has the, like, heart thing open, I think. Game Dojo, for gaming content in general, it's still very low. While I know that it's high for a small portion of streamers, like, I think you are very much the exception in the data I've looked at. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, obviously. Alright, there we go. I got it! I got it! You're exceptional in a lot of ways, Dojo. I think your audience is exceptional in a lot of ways. And so are you. Okay, I got the skull key. Alright. Yes. Alright, so now I unlocked the door. No. Now I can go this way. Turn to the graveyard. He's dojo-tastic. I mean, you do a lot better than I do as far as the, like, no sleep thing, so, I think you got something going for you. I don't think that 4K is anywhere near being the norm. The 25 megabits per second bitrate that you need for that is just never, like, I'd say, I don't know. Like, in the US, I'm just not sure it will ever happen. Like, the FCC, well, not ever, but not in the next 5 years. The FCC is continuing to move backwards, and any kind of effort towards consumer protections in internet space, we're seeing, steps backwards and towards throttling from ISPs who have figured out that really they don't have the capacity to deliver these, massive, promises they've made to consumers. And so even the ones who have been able to deliver something have not made those things. So, I mean, so videos in 4K from producers, I think will get there at some point, but in the short term, I think that what we're going to see is that the blocker is very much the content producers, or sorry, the ISPs, the consumer experience. I don't know, I could be wrong, but that's my feeling at the moment, is that that's going to be the early blocker. There may be more that come, but we haven't found them yet, so. Okay, so how about I not just die this time? And instead, change to my small sword and work harder on staying alive. Sounds like a good plan. Oh, well, that was a good plan that I failed to do. So I look at it mostly from the consumer side because that's the side that I'm you know, more aware of. At the moment, I think most like high-end producers are shooting in 4K and just editing down to 1080p because why not? You're, you know, not gaining anything by uploading in 4K for the most part. So yeah, well, so TVs are definitely going, like 4K is going to be the default screen resolution for TVs, like it already is and will continue to be, right? So that's like not going to change. We're going to continue to have that be the case. But whether that translates into something that is, you know, matching the consumer content from streamed services is the real question there. And so I think that there's an entire possibility that you're going to see this on, you know, Blu-ray and discs, you know, effectively long before you actually see it over streamed content, because I just don't see, especially US internet, kind of being up to par for a while for the average consumer. I mean, you have to keep in mind there are still people in this country on freaking dial-up, and while they're certainly a minority and Netflix is a perfectly reasonable business model, there's a lot of evidence that we do not have the ability or desire to build a functional modern internet access. Yeah. Yep, exactly. I mean, like, rural areas are definitely going to be... I mean, rural areas are already suffering a ton, just like in the basic terms of internet access. It's one of the reasons why the TV white spaces stuff is so interesting, is because it might provide a meaningful way for TV, like ISPs, to use the unused old analog bandwidth from TV and make progress on providing some form of workable internet for rural areas. Okay, I clearly need to go like replay a level and fill up my life meter because this is not working for me. La 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 la. But yes, Born Depressed. I am playing MediEvil, yeah. You know, I try, Kink. I always try. I try and keep your viewers entertained. It's what I do. I just say to myself, you know, I got this raid from Kink. I got this raid from Boomer. What I really need to do is to keep these people entertained. Take care, though. I appreciate the raid, and have a great night. Kink viewers, thank you very much for raiding. As your leader, Mr. Kink, is heading off, I totally understand if you have to as well. But if you want to stick around, again, always feel free to ask me questions or thoughts or anything else like that. Hello, Jim Francis, and another raid. We got SuperFox5 coming in with the crowd. Oh, that's great, Born Depressed. I am glad that you are coming up on a goal. My goals are not numbers. I actually just did a video which I was kind of proud of. I did a video where I sat down, I wrote a script, I read it with like with closed captioning, or not closed, with like what is it? What's the thing that you read off? A teleprompter. I set up a teleprompter so I could actually read a script, and I set up the camera so I could actually like see it. So I had like my camera directly in the middle of my teleprompter, and I actually was pretty proud of how it came out. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to making a lot more visuals for it, which is what I would have really liked to do, but I did at least make a script and record it, and I feel proud of that. Do I have the... Okay, I was gonna say, do I have the thing for this? And it appears I do. So somewhere there's like a life vial that I grabbed from this level, and I kind of want to find it again, because I feel like that's what I'm going to need in order to beat my next level. I don't know, I've only played it for a little bit here. So far we're about, what, 40 minutes into the game, and I like it. I said it feels like a cross between The Nightmare Before Christmas and Spyro the Dragon, so if you like that kind of shtick, it seems fine. The weird shapes of the bodies kind of gets to me, like these, you know, animals, or not animals, these zombies with kind of like stick figure arms are kind of like, whatever. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I don't know what that means. Oh god! I was like, I need to turn the camera around, and then I did, and there was a bunch of zombies. There we go. This is what I want. This is what I want. Trump is the most presidential president ever? No, and you're arguing in bad faith. Don't do that. If you want to have a discussion, we're happy. Like, I'm happy to have a discussion with you, but you've got one more line of chat to say something like meaningful before you're just banned. That applies to you as well, Tommy. You want to have a discussion about something that a politician has done or not done? That's totally fine. I am happy to talk about that all day long. But just saying X is the best with no evidence or statement is not going to work. Yeah, border pressed. I mean, I think that's a huge thing. I think for a lot of streamers is getting over anxiety. I'm a little bit surprised you're having that trouble now, given that I felt like you've been on, you know, webcams and streaming pretty well as far as I'm concerned for a while now. But I don't think so, Preston, because I feel like the jump scare's intent for most people who do it would be to, like, have it be surprising. So I feel like the goal of creators using that attempt is to, you know, not trick the viewer, but allow the viewer to be surprised. And I'm not sure how many of them would really, like, want the added safety of having something that warned their viewers, right? So... I like the contains product placement thing is very much was released shortly after what the FCC sued us or something like that. So is it easy to be doxxed on YouTube? I mean, it's easy to be doxxed on the internet if you're not careful. The Feminist Project, Feminism Today, I'll find the link. But there's links out there on how to protect yourself from doxing. It includes things like look around for the places where your public information might be online. And so for those of us who have websites, this might be in like domain registrations or other things like that. It might be in, you know, anything like that can have a, like your name or address in it can be a risk for doxing. So you've got that, you've got the need to kind of not talk about your address. So like, I admit that I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts. If I was worried about doxing, that would be a thing I wouldn't want to do because it would mean that it's more straightforward to find me and take, you know, negative action against me. Supplies. Yeah, I guess I'll buy some crossbow bolts because I don't have many left, but... So I've got this shield and I don't actually know how to use it. Like, I feel like it just kind of sits there most of the time, but... Anyway, Buddy Lover, thank you very much for the subscription. Sorry, your keyboard has greasy stuff on it. And, yeah, so I'm happy to talk about politics, even though if you say Trump is the greatest, I will 100% disagree with you. I am happy to engage on statements of substance, but I'm not happy to engage on just, like, random statements to the effect of, you know, Trump is the greatest. It's not a meaningful, it's not a good faith discussion at that point, and it is pointless for me to try and argue with, like, discuss that with you because you don't want to be convinced. But I have the skull key. Don't I? Didn't I get that? Skull key. There we go. No, but that's entirely the type of thing that can happen. I think that, you know, people who are expert, it's actually one of the things that one of my my previous jobs was actually like, you know, we would hand anonymized search queries to users, and their job was to find information about like what is the ideal response for this search query. So user is searching from in the general vicinity of Boston, Massachusetts. They're searching for, you know, Texaco or whatever else like that, and we would look up and we would look up, you know, all kinds of things that were, you know, weird or whatever. And so we would be using satellite imagery or Street View or other things like that to look this type of stuff up. Shit. There's lots of things they do. Born Depressed. Sometimes it's as little as I mean, sometimes it's as little as being like, I know where you live. Sometimes it's as much as, you know, calling the cops on you. Sometimes it is posting pictures of your home address to the internet so that, you know, people can, you know, do whatever. It's generally not good. So the Shakespeare, you know, 1,000 monkeys situation definitely applies. Monkeys with typewriters, you know, so you're dealing in a situation where I'm wondering if I think I've saved, maybe. Let's see if that did anything good. I did. Okay. Yeah, buying you pizza. Yeah, I mean, like, but usually when people talk about doxing, not that the same tools can be used for both good and evil. This is not untrue. Generally, when people talk about doxing, they're talking about the attack form of this. And so the attack form of doxing is intended to intimidate. It's intended to scare you. It's intended to go to you and your loved ones and to say, I know things about your life that you don't want me to know, to be threatening implicitly or explicitly about what might happen. On the internet, of course, if you're, you know, a woman or a minority or other, you know, affected group, you may have people who are, you know, sending you death threats. You may have people who are, you know, otherwise doing their best to make sure that you feel and live your life scared. For whatever reason, I've never really fully understood the ideas there, but that is the general picture of the world as it exists. Hey Celso, how's it going? Does Google sell all your info to advertisers? It's a kind of a weird question. Google sells the ability for advertisers to target demographic profiles, right? So Google lets you target keywords, and it will target people who have recently searched for those keywords. Google lets you do, you know, other things like that. And so insofar as it does that, does Google sell your information to advertisers? Yes, but not as it's associated with you. It does so as it provides, you know, a targeting criteria for advertisers. Now, whether advertisers can do nefarious things with that, like determine who you are and carry that information forward, open question that I don't fully know the answer to. I am not an advertising aficionado and don't fully understand the advertising space. But it is certainly the case that there is a lot of aggregate information which is provided to advertisers for anonymized profiles. It's good to see you, Celso. Let me know if the stream doesn't work well for you. Brad has already said it is not working well for him, which is sad, but... Alright, I'm gonna battle the Guardians of the Graveyard. Oh shit, they are turning invisible. That's great. Just what I need, invisible dogs attacking me. Fuck! GNR Gaming, don't be a dick. Viagra emails are a different matter, right? So, I mean, the reality, right, is that, like, associated with your email, as far as I know, people can't, like, get information about you. While on some platforms like Twitter, you can actually target people by email. So I can, like, upload a list, or even on AdSense, I think, I can upload a list of emails and say, like, hey, like, show my ads to people with this email address. I can't actually say for this email address, like, what is their name or other things like that. And so as far as Google is concerned, like, your email and other things like that are personally identifiable information, and personally identifiable information is protected by strict controls that advertisers don't have control over, blah, 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 right? So, yeah. I'm okay, Dark Jake. I've been kind of participating and following along with a bunch of Google-related social drama this weekend, and so I'm a bit drained on that front. I think I have come to realize some things about my behavior in interacting with public, where I am giving a platform to hateful views, which I have never really meant to do, but because I oftentimes argue against people who are making statements in bad faith. So... yeah, that's true, Mark. I commented recently that, you know, I've tried to send emails for VidCon to kind of keep people informed, and I could not get anybody to sign up for an email list because they were all like, you know, just, they would never, people were like, oh, you know, like, I don't want to sign up. I'm just going to read the emails when you send out the DM on Twitter or whatever else like that. And I was like, oh, God, like... why is the world so terrible? Why does no one use email anymore? God damn it. Yeah. Damn millennials. I mean, I think I am, like, depending on who you ask, I think I'm part of the damn millennials, and I am certainly worse at email than I should be, but I think that I am nothing compared to the average YouTube gaming streamer age group. And note that I said average, this is not all. Yeah, millennials are killing me softly with their song, telling my whole life with their words, killing me softly. Millennials are killing it this year. Fuck off, dog. Alright. See if I can get through here without too much freaking damage. Grab that. No, I would not. I think that the document as written drastically misunderstands the purpose of Google's diversity programs. It massively misunderstands the but more importantly, it starts from a position of believing that women are less capable and able to do the work of being software engineers. And with that being the case, engaging with the views of the author is starting from a bad faith arguing position. Hello, Yubel Raid. Welcome, welcome. Brandy, Verils, and Sappy. I don't know who Yubel is. This is a new person to me. So I'm getting, this is like my 4th raid of the night. I got Super Fox 5. I got, oh yeah, Soybomb. Well, you changed your icon. I don't recognize it anymore. Hello, Yubel Gaming. I'm the Chris who plays games. Thank you very much for bringing the raid in. Brian Chimichanga. I love the word chimichanga. It's like one of my favorite words. So we will give you the full face cam just for that. Yeah, welcome to the stream, everybody. I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15, and whenever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. With us in the chat, we have the Yubel Raiders and others, of course. We've got Soybomb, who's also a streamer. Nico streams, unsurprisingly streams, as well as Born Depressed and others. So welcome. I'm glad to see you here. I am playing MediEvil tonight, and yeah. But yes, I play retro games every Monday at 9:15, whenever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. If you like more Rebel games, retro games, what you should do is check out Soybomb, who streams retro games every day of the week. And so, yeah. Oh, Dark Jake 13. There you go. I was like, I know there's someone else here who's you know, doing something. Yes. Soy did make it past the hurdle. That's right. Sorry, we got to get the double hat spin for the Raiders, and then we can go back to the game. There we go. Retro, 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 not rebel. The fact that I can't speak is not evidence that Soybomb can't stream. Alright, so let's toss a thing here and go here. Alright. So these dogs go invisible, and then like they do their dash thing and they become visible, but the problem is that as soon as they become visible, they attack me. So let's see if I can do something here to use a different weapon and maybe make some progress. But yeah, it is there's a whole lot of information out there about, you know, the importance of... There's a whole lot out there. How's working at Google like? Take care, Bradley. I appreciate you coming in. Working at Google is pretty cool. I said, you know, like, to me, it is really the ideal job. I get to run the internet as far as I'm concerned. It's not literally true, but I actually do get to do a lot of things that are very cool working in, you know, global load balancing at scale in a way that's only possible at probably 3 or 4 other companies. I think Netflix, you know, is definitely another one, looking at, who are the people that start with an A? Akamai, Netflix, Facebook, you know, these are some of the only people who are able to, like, move traffic at planet scale the way that Google or that Google/YouTube does. So working on Google's CDN is pretty much a magical experience. I work with some of the smartest people in the world, working on, you know, everything from TCP to everything else like that. TCP to everything else. People who worked on, you know, building the base building blocks of the internet, like TCP and so on and so forth. I am one of the highly trained monkeys. Yes, I have the power to break the internet. It's one of the questions that's often that we ask ourselves is like, hey, I vanquished them. I've used the daring dash ability. I don't know how to do it.
All has changed outside the necropolis.
So the question is now... Oh, okay, that's fine. Just DOS a save state. Do I stop DDoSing? So there's another team that works on that. Our traffic team mostly stops DDoSes. I have sometimes been involved in helping measure DDoSes or being aware of them. So because I work on the quality of experience team for YouTube, my job is to report on the news, such as it were. So I tell other teams how YouTube user experience is working. Take care, Dark Jake. And let them know when things are not working well. Okay, so I have literally like one little tiny square of life left, so I need to get my hide thee to a tannery or something. Fuck, I knew that was gonna happen. Is the internship true? I actually have an entire tweet storm of like 87 tweets on that. The answer, of course, is that the internship is not literally true, but there are a lot of things in it that are very much based in the Google. The magic pixel, that's right. I feel like somewhere in here maybe there's a life well. I don't remember now though. Like, what I need is to find a life well that is going to keep me alive. And that's what keeps me alive. Higher than I've been before. No, I just remembered the life well is definitely outside. It's only in that graveyard. Okay. So yeah, so the internship is clearly based on a number of things that are you know, based on Google. So like, internships are not a literal competition and the best team gets a job and the worst team doesn't. Like, that's not how internships work at Google. But it was definitely put together with the help of Google. There are pieces of it that were, you know, filmed at Google. The people, you know, the silly hats are very much Google. Hello, the psychologist. Welcome to the stream. And so there's a whole bunch of it that was created by someone who, you know, worked with Google to understand the culture and a lot of the kind of signaling mechanisms that Googlers would recognize as being true. At the same time, that is not the same as it being, you know, a representative experience, and the entire competition part is there. I also went through many of the ways in which the story as presented would have gotten, you know, many of the people who were involved in that story fired. So, for example, going out to a strip club with your coworkers, definitely not on the acceptable list of things to do as a manager. And the person who I think of as Big Head, because I have watched entirely too much of the Silicon Valley TV show, would not be in good shape after the things that he had done. Do I program AI? I don't really program AI. I've done a little bit of machine learning work, but not a whole lot. I haven't really needed to in my line of work. There are so many simple problems I still have to solve, so... So Bradley, IP stressor is generally going to be not really a DDoS. The D in DDoS is generally for distributed. It is probably like a DOS. It will send a lot of traffic very quickly. But Google generally, our job is not to prevent DDoSes on the entire internet. That's kind of a thing you have to do for your own website, but rather to protect DDoSes against our infrastructure, and we have a whole bunch of tools that are designed to do that. So in general, a simple one IP attack would not be enough to have any meaningful attack on Google. Our front-end infrastructure is very good at handling those because we have to be, and so we have learned how to handle those successfully, and avoid many of the problems that might affect others because of them. Take care, Eric. Have a good night. There you go. I was confused about which way it was turned. But yeah, so the thread on the internship is something that I put a bunch of time into at one point because people have oftentimes asked me, is the internship real? And the answer, of course, is no, but it has a lot of elements in it that are real-ish, or at least based in reality. Alright, get away from me. I don't like any of you. Take care, Yubel. Thank you very much for the raid. I will definitely try and remember to check out your channel after the stream because I've never heard of you. So it's always nice to have a new streamer stop by. Thank you very much for being here and have a great night. The current Google controversy is about a document written by a Googler which does its best to point out that as women are inferior and should not be, and therefore all programs to include them in Google's programs are lowering the bar, we should be less aggressive with our diversity programs, and instead we should really just make sure that we take care of the poor old white man. I am exaggerating slightly for effect, but I think that the document is generally a pretty unfortunate take, especially for someone to have passed around at work. The bikes are real, that is correct. Your cousin works on PCs? That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that the reality is, like, even if you set aside, you know, any bad faith behavior here, even if you set aside the fact that such a document does not belong in an internal work discussion because it is absolutely, you know, harmful to any efforts you might make to work with women going forward, it is really hard for me to imagine in an environment where social interaction is an absolutely key part, like software engineering is, how you could possibly continue to have someone work at Google after writing that, right? Like, how can any woman that is on his team expect that the beliefs that he espoused are something that he can eliminate at a subconscious level when applying, you know, reviewing his work for the purposes of peer reviews or reviewing their work for, you know, these other things. So, hello, Max Joseph. Yes, Google does own the Android OS, though technically it's an open source OS, so anyone can use it. Does it say they're unstoppable or almost unstoppable? Try trapping them while you make your escape. Okay. Gaming Lawyer. Well, when Gaming Lawyer is here, there's only one thing to do. First, we will get a double hat spin for Gaming Lawyer. But then you all know the way that this goes. When Gaming Lawyer comes in, so does the Texas Law Hawk. Oopsie. That was not what I meant to do. Hello? There we go.
Brian Wilson, Texas Law Hawk! Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk! Talons of justice! Due process! Do wheelies! It's hot out here! Brian Wilson, El Halcon de la Ley! Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk!
All right, Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk, bringing us in with Gaming Lawyer. Welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here. It's hot out here. That's right. The FBI does the FBI work with Google? I'm sure that the FBI works with Google on many, many things. As a massive internet service provider, we have, you know, a lot of things that go on Google servers that are very pertinent to the FBI, I'm sure. But I think that that's different than what people sometimes mean, which is the idea that Google, you know, hands all their data over to the FBI or other things like that. Those are obviously not true. Google is a company that very much values its commitment to user privacy and does its absolute best to minimize any, you know, unauthorized sharing of that information with anyone. And that's one of the reasons why when I talk about advertising, I'm careful to discuss that, you know, Google does not just hand over your data. It doesn't just like have a list of like, oh, tell me everything about CR Schmidt at crschmidt.net. That's not really what works. No, I don't think closing the dark web is a goal that Google has. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Preston, one of the issues about that, of course, is that in some cases the U.S. government's rules around things mean that they can't disclose everything, and so there is absolutely, like, you know, national security letters have caused major ISPs across the country to have to not reveal that they're working with the FBI until after they're already working with the FBI. But in general, I think that you are right that we do our best to disclose information about what we are doing wherever we can. And so that includes things like disclosing when we, you know, give information over to the FBI, disclosing when the FBI has asked for your information, and other things like that, to the best of our legal ability to do so. Uh-oh. This does not seem good. Aha! I think I got you. I have not used Google Home, no. Oh no, I didn't get you. I thought I got you. I mean, so Bradley, if you use Gmail, Google knows your email and password, because otherwise how would you log in with it, right? But it doesn't mean that I know it. Actually, it doesn't actually mean we know your password. It means we have a record that we can convert to your password, because we don't keep plain text passwords anywhere, I am quite certain. It's also an area that I don't really work on in particular, but I mean, Google puts a lot of work into, you know, protecting account security for people too, right? So the whole investment into two-factor authentication via YubiKey and other things like that is absolutely something that is important to user privacy and security that Google works and spends a lot of money and time on. But yeah, it's good to see you, Chris GC8, as well as everyone else who's here. I'm happy to have you here. Alright, let's buy some crossbow bolts because I don't like these stupid throwing knives. Yeah, I mean, and it's worth noting that I'm just like a random dude, you know, like I don't speak for Google on general matters. Most of the information I'm telling you is either something that is not like most of what I'm telling you is general knowledge about IT companies. Some of it is knowledge that could be gleaned from our FAQs, and some of it is stuff that I've learned from conferences or other things like that. For the most part, I got no secrets. I don't know anything that pretty much anyone wouldn't be able to find out in one way or another. I mean, I know some things about some minor things maybe that's the case for, but nothing interesting. So I'm glad you get yogurt. Yogurt is gross though, but I'm glad that it's better than not getting yogurt. Oh, here we go. I was like, where am I supposed to go? To go in here. Get away from me, you stupid bats. God damn it. A Google sleeper agent. Yeah. I'm really just like, you know, embedded here. I don't know what organic search is, Kirk Randolph, so that's probably not a question I can answer. If you can tell me what it is, I might be able to make a guess. It's just not a term I've heard. That doesn't sound like a real thing, Bradley. Hey, we killed a Lord Troll. Excellent. So one of the things that happens in this stream is that we actually have an RPG going on. So as people talk, we will do damage to the enemy who is currently up in the corner. And as we do that, we are able to kill it. And that is good because we want to kill things. Alright. Let's go ahead and grab the crossbow. Oh no! Ow! Fuck! It like totally turned around on top of me. Alright, can I go back and get more health? Okay, I got the Chaos Rune. I just don't remember how far back the health was. I don't know how to use the shield, Brad. Like, that's my problem. Oh, I hold triangle? Is that it? And then things can't attack me or something? Yeah, so I hadn't used the shield because nothing told me how to use it, and I didn't know. So generally speaking, Kirk Randolph, it is the case that YouTube allows advertising on things that people request advertising for. It is generally the case that YouTube will do its very best not to put stuff on content that violates our advertiser-friendly policies. And unfortunately, it is difficult using the information available in YouTube videos to always tell that they are full of hateful things. So as oh shit, I guess I can't touch that yellow stuff. So fuck. That sucks. I just picked up a life bottle and used all of it immediately because I didn't know I couldn't touch stuff. So yeah, so is it the case that that ads have probably occasionally been placed on content which is hateful? Yes. Is it the case that that's YouTube's intent? No. YouTube does not allow hate speech on its website, and its advertiser-friendly policies do not allow for advertising on content that would generally fall into the Nazi category. But unfortunately, if you name your document "My Cat," and your thumbnail is a picture of a cat, and your video is mostly about your cat, and then in the middle you go like, fuck whatever, you know, epithet you want to apply at the moment, there's a possibility that YouTube would put advertisements on that because it doesn't know better. That doesn't mean that it's intentional, and it doesn't mean it's allowed, but it will happen. And it's very unfortunate, and we do our best to prevent it. So that's one of the things that has recently been changing, is how aggressive YouTube is at attempting to make sure that that doesn't happen. Fuck. YouTube heavily rewards quantity over quality. I don't agree with that. Some of my favorite channels are channels like Real Engineering or Primitive, Primitive Engineering? You know, channels that basically produce content once a month, don't do anything in particular to cause that content to be, you know, clickbaity or anything else like that, and have grown audiences of hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers over the past couple of years. They're some of the most successful channels out there in the last couple of years, and that have started in the last couple of years, and don't do any of the things that people sometimes would say are required to succeed on YouTube. So I think that there's a lot of sense that, you know, oh, I found the one thing. And pretty much anyone who is actually experienced at YouTube will tell you there isn't just one thing. There's a million things. So, yeah. Have I worked with Bill Gates? I have not worked with Bill Gates. No, I mean, Bill Gates is now mostly a philanthropist and nothing else. Anyway, so Brad, you were asking if I like this game. My feeling is that it's okay. I think I know it's stupid to worry about graphics in a game like this. I know that, like, it's kind of silly that I would look at this as being an important thing, but I don't really love the graphical look. I also don't really love Spyro. There's this, like, this kind of weird Polygon-esque of the early 3D stuff that I don't really dig, which is weird because I like Crash. I like Crash Bandicoot, which is not really that different when you look at it. So I don't know what it is that I like or don't like about graphical things like this, but hello, Lying Secret. You're a big MediEvil fan? Well, I'm glad I can play something you enjoy. Alright. Come on, baby. So from behind I can still hit him in the head. And I did just kill him. Or whatever. So Ola, is it designed for YouTube to lock people into insane contracts? No. Do MCNs want to do that? Yes, absolutely. They are motivated to do that by the fact that that way they get to steal your content forever and your money forever without ever having to do anything to earn it. So that's a good thing for them, and so that kind of makes sense. But it has nothing to do with YouTube's desires or needs. And in fact, YouTube has just recently made it the case that even if an MCN does not wish to allow you to unlink your account, they now no longer have a choice. And you can unlink your account even without the permission of your MCN. Of course, that does not absolve you from your contractual obligations, but what it does mean is that YouTube has made it so they are no longer the technical arbiter of this, and if your MCN wants to keep you locked in, they have to, you know, take you to court and handle it that way, rather than YouTube being an arbiter of this in a way that is as harmful. So I think YouTube is even motivated to, you know, protect users from terrible MCNs to some extent. Ah, well, that's great, Lying Secret. Happy to have you here. Take care. Okay, so being able to use the shield, definitely an improvement here. It's not quite enough, because... Oh, shit, I lost my shield. Alright. I really should have picked up more crossbow bolts like I did last time. Damn it. I think that Google, YouTube takes a line on hate speech, which is similar to kind of, I think, the general U.S. government line in courts, which is along the lines of, you know, you can't have content which explicitly incites violence, and there is a lot of content which is not to the point of inciting violence, which is still extremely distasteful and does not make me or anyone else happy. You know, I'm not going to go quite so far as I don't like what you say, but I will defend your, you know, to the death your right to say it or whatever else like that. But it's not quite that far, but there are some aspects of... There's content out there that I wish was not on YouTube, but I understand that not having it on YouTube means YouTube taking a role in censoring content that I'm not entirely comfortable with either. It's a hard path to walk, and I'm glad that I am not one of the people on a team that has to make those decisions, so... Was it just violence towards bats, though? Because I think it has to be violence towards a protected group. So, like, race, religion, etc., etc. So you may be okay to incite violence against bats. Bats are not a protected group, Brad. That is correct. So, Brad, did you change internets and stuff? Oh, you're at work. Okay, so I don't feel bad when things don't work for you at work, because I think that we've acknowledged that your workplace setup is just weird. Okay, so what the heck am I doing? Where was the for sale guy that I bought crossbow bolts from earlier? Was he inside this building back here that I've abandoned? Maybe he was. Nope. Aha! Found you. Okay. So I'm now out of gold, but I have all the things, so that's good. Come at me, bro. Actually, don't come at me. I don't really need you following me. But I guess I'll take it. No, you got it. I appreciate it, Lying. I appreciate it. But yeah, so Jim Francis, in general, YouTube's algorithm is designed to act as closely as it can to representing what a human would do in using YouTube. Like, that is the intent of the algorithm. It's to match the audience as well as it can. So to answer your question of does the algorithm do X, In general, the answer will be, if a human was deciding what videos to recommend to you, would they do X? If the answer is yes, then there's a good chance that YouTube does that. If the answer is no, then there's a good chance that the algorithm does not do that. So it's really that simple. Does the YouTube algorithm take likes or dislikes into account? Yes. Does it mean that I would think that an audience member would take that into account when making a decision about what to watch? Does it use only that? Is it a strong signal? Is it anything else like that? Who knows? You know, it's really much more based on math and statistics than any kind of heuristics that you can describe. And so Tom Scott has a video about how, you know, no one will ever know how the YouTube algorithm works, and he's basically right. You know, it's a neural network trained on the behavior of 80 billion signals a day around what videos people click on, what they don't click on, how long they watch, how long they don't watch, and everything else like that. It's basically just the best thing that Google can do as far as videos to suggest you to watch. So it's not perfect, and sometimes it's not even great, but it is the best we can do. Anyway, Leif, what is going on? What is going on is that I am a weird skeleton thing, and we are killing bad guys. As far as I know. I have not been paying a whole lot of attention to story, but I'm sure that Lying Seeker could give you more of a story look at that if that's what you're looking for. Oops. What the fuck? Fuck. God damn it. Okay, this did not go as well as I'd hoped. Alright, let's try this again with a little bit less fail. Yep. There's a lot more videos and a lot more hours of content uploaded. I think there's also a lot more ability to provide different... to provide better recommendations for diverse audiences. So before, you would have everyone be recommended kind of the same content, even though they didn't necessarily agree, or that people wouldn't watch it all, and they would just watch it because there wasn't anything else to watch and they didn't know how to find anything else. As YouTube's recommendations algorithms have gotten better at suggesting targeted niche content, you've been able to bring that content to the forefront and not just be limited by, you know, whatever rich white boys in California happen to like. And I think that that's part of it as well. But the biggest thing is just that there's more videos now. If you compare the amount of video, you know, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, YouTube was saying that, you know, 200 hours of video were uploaded per minute. A year ago it was, no, 3 years ago it was 200, 2 years ago it was 200, last year it was 400, or 200, 300, 400, and so now it's probably 500 hours of video uploaded every minute. That's a lot of content. It's a lot more than one person can watch, and so it definitely increases the overall, you know, minimizes the amount that people watch one thing. No problem, SuperFox5. I'm happy to see you. So animators not being as successful as before is a tricky thing, right? So animators have the problem that their content is really expensive to do well. And so a lot of them are not able to produce a lot of content. And while it is not true that YouTube values like quality over quantity, it is the case that once you've watched everything from an animator, like YouTube can't just recommend you all the things, right? So while there's 500 hours of content uploaded every minute, it does not mean that there's 500 hours of any particular content available every minute, and animators in general have a hard time producing content quickly or cheaply. It's some of the most expensive content out there. The fact that Disney was able to produce as much as they have for as long as they did, and create this kind of, you know, successful monopoly around Mickey Mouse and everything else like that in the early days, or Tom and Jerry, or all these other things. I guess that's Hanna-Barbera, but the fact that this small number of animators were able to do that was based on a relatively small ecosystem of content creation. If you look at modern, you know, cartoons and other things like that, what you see often is that very cheaply produced content as far as the animation stuff goes, is the norm across all media, across TV and everything else like that. You know, Rick and Morty does not, in my opinion, have nearly as realistic of a look as the original, you know, like Tom and Jerry cartoons would have. I think that there's a very kind of choppy look to this type of stuff, and that's some of the most, you know, expensive stuff out there with lots of money invested into it. It's very difficult to pay for that type of stuff, and most people who do it are doing it in conjunction with some other source of, you know, not income or whatever.
Pumpkin Gorge, dead ahead. The nurse.
I am like... Oh, it will? I did not know that. Hello, attentive owl. I am here and attentive to you. Okay, so I should definitely go back and fill up my water bottles a little bit more. I had not realized that. That was stupid of me. I am a big user of save states, by the way. If you are a purist retro gamer, you are in the wrong place, because I will use save states as, like, as long as the day is long, I will be using save states. Well, so the reality is that Adobe's subscription program for, you know, their tools is probably not a significant component of what has increased animation costs, right? If you're talking about an animation which costs you, I don't know, 10 hours to produce, even at a moderate rate, you know, of $20 an hour, that's a lot more for, and like 10 hours to produce is nothing in animation terms, right? Like that's a 10-second clip. So realistically, you're talking about something that takes, I don't know, hundreds of hours to produce. Well, let's just say 100. We'll pick around 100 hours. We'll pick around, you know, $20 an hour, which is a low rate for, you know, expert stuff, but is maybe the type of rate that you can imagine in hobbyist circles where you're doing something for the love and not for the money, and suddenly you're talking about $2,000 to do one animation that would be, you know, a week or two of your effort, or 3 weeks, I guess, 100 hours, 3 weeks. It is not the case that Adobe's choices are around, like Adobe's choices around licensing of their software is not going to be the primary driver in that case of your costs. It's just not. It's not to say that it is not a driver of costs, but I think it's pretty minor in comparison. Oh man, another raid. Fig Newton and Casual Bird and Xeno's Trigger and AZ Grim and Paul Mangelin and Maidho and W. Google killed AOL. Maybe. I feel like AOL killed AOL, but maybe that was wrong. And Julian Taylor and James Moose, thank you very much for the raiders. Hello, the Gamesman. It's good to see you as well. And thank you very much for that tip lying secret that I can fill my bottles. I am happy to have you here. I'm always happy to have. So Yugi is one of my helpers, and oftentimes keeps me, you know, moving forward in games because I can't figure out where the hell to go. So I'm happy to have someone else here to help as well. I appreciate it. The yellow snake is killing things for me, so I unlocked it from a treasure chest, and it just goes around and kills enemies for me. Well, that did not go well. So I feel like AOL was kind of on its way out before Google became a thing. I mean, ignoring the millions of dial-up customers that AOL still has at, you know, $15 a month or whatever. Like AOL was, well, this is not at all effective. I do not think that went exactly as I would have liked. I'm gonna have to try that again, I think. See if I can find a slightly better way to do that without taking quite as much damage. Calcutra, there you go. Old school swag, yeah. Thank you very much for the raid, Missildine Online, and Miss Anon, it's good to have you here, and all of you here. I'm the Chris who plays games. I play retro games every Monday at 9:15, whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. This week we're going to be doing some of this game, probably today and Friday, and see if we can get through the whole thing. I'm going to have to like check a walkthrough after this and see like how many hours from the end I likely am based on my success so far. Okay, what is the trick here? Is this the trick? Can I do this? Aha! I found the trick. Shield. Okay, I can't jump and shield at the same time. Unsurprising, but I did not realize it. Okay, so let's try this again. Oh, thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it for the $5 holla. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, Missildine Online is the Drop the Missile Raid Corey, aka Missildine Online, is a content creator as well. He does Good Morning Azeroth in the morning as well as streams in the evening, and just decided to become a full-time streamer here on YouTube Gaming, I believe. He can tell me if that's wrong. Yeah, so congratulations on that decision, Corey. I think that will be an exciting thing to see how that works out for you. Hello again, Desde Monique. Good to see you. So this game is called, oh Jesus Christ. This game is called MediEvil. Like MediEvil, only with more evil at the end. I guess, is it just pronounced medieval? Is that just like, it's stylized with the capital E, so I kind of think of it that way, but I guess maybe it's just medieval. And it is a cross between Spyro the Dragon and A Nightmare Before Christmas, as far as I'm concerned. YouTube favors vlogs. I mean, YouTube doesn't favor anything, right? Alright, so it's 10:50 at night, and I don't have a pre-recorded CPG rant of the evening. I'm trying to figure out. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break from the game here because I've been pushing a lot of buttons, and I am going to. Yeah, so YouTube favors what the audience likes. YouTube is not some kind of picky thing. We do not have developers sitting in the background who are picking favorites. No one has written the vlog selector and said this is what people should want. No one has written the feature that says, like, don't pay animators as much. No one has done any of those things, right? The reality is that what YouTube is doing its absolute best to, you know, take advantage and give people what the audience wants. What the audience wants is routine content updated regularly. What the audience wants is something new to watch. And what the audience doesn't want is to sit around through a bunch of crappy clickbait. And what the audience doesn't want is to do anything else like that. But what the audience can be told, does enjoy, is to get a big reveal, right? The audience loves a, long lead up to a joke because it triggers dopamine in our brains and it does all these other things that drives watch time because people want to stay for the payoff. And so it is absolutely the case that there are lots of successful things you can do in creating content that delivers on expectations after some longer buildup. In fact, it was for a long time stated that whenever you opened a YouTube video, you should immediately hit the 3 button. The 3 button would take you to 30% into the video. It was referred to as the Wadsworth constant after a Redditor who commented on it in 2011. And so, yes, the first 30% of the video is going to be someone asking for likes and subs. It's going to be doing all these other things, but it is absolutely not the case that YouTube is caring about these things itself. YouTube is not making these decisions with some roll of the dice. YouTube doesn't care. YouTube is full of engineers and people who are bad at content creation. I work at YouTube and look at the content I'm sitting here making. YouTube does not magically make a decision about whatever. What it does is it follows the audience. What it does is write an algorithm that's designed to fast follow audience preferences as closely as possible using the best machine learning technology that Google has available to it. What it does is use every signal that is given to it about what an audience does and what the video is and try to combine things that audiences like into things that other people pick up. And so there are going to be people who watch YouTube only for murder mysteries. There are going to be people who watch YouTube only for horror video games. There are going to be people who watch only retro games, although it's a small minority. There are going to be people who only watch MediEvil. There are going to be people who do all kinds of things. And when you put it like that and think, oh, YouTube's recommendations, when I go to the YouTube's recommendations on the homepage, its goal is to give me the absolute thing that it thinks I am most likely to want. Its goal is to show me what it thinks I will watch. That is what its goal is. And so when we pull up this, this list of things things that people want. When we pull this up, you know, what we are seeing here is YouTube's best guess at what I want. And the reason it's guessing that I want to watch this video on spiders from Lemino is that I just watched a bunch of content from Lemino. When I just want to watch the history of Nintendo, the reason is because I've just been watching a bunch of different gaming things, and you can see it in my history. And other people who've watched Ahole's gaming documentaries might want to watch other documentaries. You can see Game Attack because I watched Game Attack before. You can see Computer File because this one's got Tom Scott in it. And so it sees that I have watched other videos from Tom Scott and says other people have watched this video from Tom Scott. It's very, very much the case that all it is trying to do is that. And so, like, I get videos about nuclear warfare because that's the type of thing that I have looked for. I get Unity, I get One Shot Girl. All of these things are things based on people similar to what I will watch, things similar to what I've watched, watch more of this. It's that simple. So there is no conspiracy. There is no one sitting in the back saying, make animators make less money. The reality is that making content which is cheap is easier. YouTube's advertising rates don't pay enough to have people make really expensive content because for whatever goddamn reason, advertisers are stupid and spend 10 times as much for my eyeballs if they're staring at a TV screen. It makes no goddamn sense. On YouTube, you can track the advertiser, you can track the output, you can track when people click, you can track your demographics. On TV, you get nothing of that. And so advertisers who have historically, for the past 6 decades been advertising on TV just continue to spend money on TV because it's the only thing they know how to do. And so many people who create a content on YouTube are getting paid 10 times less what the same advertisers would pay on TV, which would pay for them to do advertising. If you took the average advertiser or animator on YouTube and told them, hey, we're going to pay you 10 times as much as you're making now in ad revenue, they would be able to make this content. They'd be able to afford it. They'd be able to do it. And yeah, they'd still have to live on a shoestring because any content creator lives on a shoestring. I don't care if you're writing for Star Trek or Game of Thrones. The reality is that creative work like that is not rewarded. The people who get rewarded are the executive producers who invested millions of dollars in the show and take all of it out of it, and the actors who have made big names for themselves, you know, the few actors there are out there who've made big names for themselves. And so it is absolutely not the case that YouTube is able to, like, magically take and say, this should be good content and this should be bad content. We don't fucking know. The only thing we can do is run surveys and collect data and take the 80 billion, impressions a day that we get and learn from every video I scroll past here and don't watch. And so, yeah, it knows that I watch almost everything from Great Big Story. In part, it knows that because I just sat down and watched 400 of them in one weekend when I was flying on a plane. It knows that I want to watch, things about documentaries, cracking the Sega Saturn and other things like that. And the reason is because it looks at my history and it says, okay, here are the things that you have watched, right? You are watching How the Cold War Shaped Video Games. And people who watch How the Cold War Shaped Video Games also watch these other things. There's no magic here. There's no anything. It is just the way that it is done. So the reality is that YouTube is not some conspiracy theory. Does YouTube like likes or dislikes? I don't know, man. Do you watch things that other people have liked or disliked more? In general, the likes and dislikes represent some level of audience engagement. And so, yeah, they don't tell YouTube a whole lot from the actual number. They tell YouTube a lot from the fact of what other people watch. They tell YouTube a lot from what other things have said. They tell YouTube a lot because they are indicative of the overall audience perception. And so when I see people who are complaining about YouTube's recommendation algorithm giving them bad results, and when I see people complaining about YouTube's algorithm not favoring a particular type of thing, I honestly ask them, do you consume YouTube content? Like, content creators have a flaw. Oftentimes, they don't consume enough YouTube content to understand the ecosystem. They don't understand that things have changed. They don't understand that the recommendations and suggestions are really just based around doing our absolute best to fast follow the audience with the best machine learning technology that exists in the world as far as we're concerned. Because, nothing that was written anywhere else is any good. But more realistically, this is what we do. It is what Google does. It creates things that can beat programs like AlphaGo that can beat the game of Go, and then it takes that same technology and it applies it to ranking the 200 billion different things it puts on the homepage a day. There are 250 million videos shown on the homepage every day. Not just impressions, not just anything else like that, but a collection of 250 million videos. Can you imagine walking into Blockbuster and seeing 250 million DVDs on the shelf? With each DVD being a half an inch wide, 250 million DVDs would be a ridiculous size. 250 million times 0.5 inches in miles is... My internet is slow. Is 1,972 linear miles of DVDs to choose from. That would stretch from Boston to Miami. And you just have to walk all the way along down it and pick out a title to watch next. The fact that YouTube is able to do anything at all, the fact that it gives you 30% of your recommendations might possibly be something you watch is freaking incredible! We're dealing with descriptions typed by people trying to get them to link out to their Amazon affiliate links so they can make money, and using that information to rank videos that you're going to watch with other people? It's crazy. It is crazy that we are able to do as well as we can. And so when people act like there's some vast conspiracy, when people act like there's some magic behind the magic wizard behind the system, when people act like there's something going on there that is hiding the reality behind a whatever, there's no magic. We're not flipping switches. We're just writing a bunch of numbers and saying, here, go. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and we learn from the feedback that users give us, and we add additional features and we hand it into a machine learning algorithm that is designed to just do it all over again. That's all we do. I'm the Chris who plays games, and this has been your impromptu CPG rant of the evening. YouTube doesn't have it out to get you or reward you. If anyone cares, it's the fucking audience. All right. Oh, I have to hit the plus. All right. So there are no wizards. There is no anything else like that. Hopefully that was at least a little bit on point. I didn't scare too many of you off. So I do my CPG rants every Monday and Friday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern time. Well, no, I do my rants usually at 11 o'clock Eastern. Usually they're pre-recorded, so I actually play them at exactly 11 o'clock, and then I go get a drink. What we're going to do here at the moment, though, is I'm going to get back to the game. We're going to play one more level. Once we get through that level, I'm going to push you with a pre-recorded CPG bit of some kind, and I will be back because I'm gonna need a drink. So yes, that whole rant was spontaneous in response to a chat comment. That is correct. The reason that I did not have a CPG rant pre-recorded this week is that I have had a lot of trouble with I was so hard pressed to be emotional this week. I put so much of my emotion into the current Google controversy stuff, so yeah. But yeah, that was all spontaneous, so sorry if it was a bit fumbly as I went through and everything else like that. I do not have a chalice. Oh, I do have a chalice to spend. Do I go somewhere to do that? Yeah, so I used to do all my rants improv, and really, it is worth noting that my CPG rants are still mostly improv. Like, I come to a topic and I just kind of tat on it for 10 minutes and then I come back. So they're pre-recorded primarily so I have 10 minutes to like go to the bathroom without you all being sad. So I appreciate it, James Moose. I appreciate the sub and the like. Okay, so I've got Enchanted Earth, which is a level I haven't done yet. I've got a pumpkin patch, but how do I spin my chalice? Because it looks like I have one, doesn't it? There's like a 1 up in the corner, so I assume that means I have one. I'm looking at you, lying secret. Oh, okay. I don't care about the good ending. Yeah, there was a Hall of Heroes I went into before. Oh, okay, so I have one, but that's the one I already spent. I didn't get a second one. I didn't think I got a second one, but I figured it out. So it sends you to the Hall of Heroes as soon as you get one, and I have already spent the one I had. That was the confusion. Uh-oh. This seems bad. The Sleeping Village.
Poor villagers. The master possesses them. It mustn't hurt them. Hurt guards, though. They seek out an object of great power.
NeanCX. In general, yes, although many people use lower bit rates for streaming than they do for encoding videos. And so, while it is the case that if you were to upload a video at the same bit rate, it would take up the same amount of bandwidth, it is not the case that it necessarily requires as much, right? So I'm streaming at 3.5 megabits per second, but when I record my videos locally and upload them, they are at 5 or 7 megabits per second instead, depending on what, you know, I'm doing with my videos, or more if I'm doing 4K. So it's really about the choices that you make in your selection. Every drop in bitrate is a minor trade-off in quality, but in general, you don't really need as much quality as sometimes I think people think you do. Oh no, I wasn't supposed to attack him. Okay, well, sorry. Take care, Attentive Owl. Thanks for stopping by. Only 100 gig? Not even 1,000? 100 is nothing. That sucks, dude. Teach you how to stream. Well, in general, so one of the things I actually want to do is I'm considering making a YouTube channel about creating YouTube channels, because a lot of what I do on this channel is obviously to talk about things related to YouTube. So the first thing to do is to figure out why you want to make a YouTube channel. Like, what is your goal? And this is the thing that I do with my streams here. So for tonight, for example, my goal is to kind of treat this as get kind of halfway-ish through this game. Such that I can finish it up in another stream, right? So we're going to do kind of 2 streams for this game is the hope. We'll do this one, and then we'll do one other one. And, alright, I'm going to, like, read these books or something. I don't care about these books. I just want to get that rune thing. Get out of here. Stop attacking me. So, Jim Francis, I do make some money if people stay on my stream if they have YouTube Red. If they don't have YouTube Red, I would make money off of an ad if they watched it at the beginning of the stream, but would not make any money if they stayed there. So, YouTube Red is actually really good for live streamers. It's especially, like, valuable compared to normal ad revenue because it's based on the amount of time that people are there rather than just the ads at the beginning. Gotcha. Yeah, so Lying Secret, this is one of the things about my gameplay is that when I'm streaming, I very much don't go for, like, 100%. I don't go for lore. I'm just kind of like I want to see all the levels kind of guy. This, of course, drives some people nuts, but for me, it's just the way that I play. So, totally reasonable that there is lore here, just not for me. So, do I get money from your free trial of 3 months? I do not know, Gaming Lawyer. Yeah, so if anyone was curious, like, why we're not going to 4K internet, just listen to NeanCX about why the world is a terrible place. Okay. Okay, I will keep that in mind and perhaps consider getting some of these chalices at some point. I assume I can replay the levels and pick up the chalices that way, right? So there's nothing that's there. Net neutrality is a hugely important issue. The FCC is making a mistake in not making this a consumer protection issue. They are making a mistake in not like treating this as something that all people in this country want. Like healthcare, so many people in this country understand enough about net neutrality that there's really no reason not to pursue it as a path. And I'm really surprised that they're doing this kind of hyper-partisan thing instead. It makes no sense because, like, in general, there isn't a reason. I don't know. I guess it's based on the idea of small, like, limited regulation. It just, like, in practice, I feel like this is an ideological thing that they're turning it into, and I feel like that's really unfortunate. Gotcha. Yeah, so it's the kind of thing that I might do sometimes to go back and get the chalices off stream so that I'm not like sitting here playing the same bits over and over or anything else like that on stream, but that I can still get those benefits because I do understand, like, hey, this game is much easier if you actually complete it. So too many rules and laws already is something I obviously don't disagree with. There are definitely too many laws in some areas, but in general, I think that we're not in a situation where massive overregulation is our biggest problem. Instead, I generally look to, you know, corruption and other things like that as important. Oh, hold on. I want you to stand over here. Oh, no. Come over here. Ah. Okay, I guess this idea maybe wasn't right. Oh, I have to push one of these things over, maybe. There we go. Fuck. Do not kill me, lady. Oh, wait, there we go. I was like, let me get in. There we go. Well, but, so Van Helsing, you have to keep in mind that Wheeler was an executive for Comcast, right? So the previous FCC commissioner, the one who passed, you know, somewhat aggressive Title II based regulations after Verizon, you know, fought against them, was a Comcast guy. And Comcast fought against net neutrality just as hard as anybody else. So it's not the case that I think that their previous associations definitely associate them with those positions. They have taken, you know, reasonable stands in the past around you know, making a decision based on what's best for the people and listening to the people who call them and making a decision on that front. So, like, yeah, I mean, ISPs can collect and sell. I mean, ISPs could always, yes, ISPs can collect and sell your data is a shitty thing, but I look at net neutrality as just like one piece of a huge big picture where you're talking about, you know, rural internet access being a priority, where you're talking about, you know, speeds and setting thresholds for broadband, where you're looking at fighting against monopolies, where you're looking at, you know, preventing cable company fuckery, as it was called by John Oliver. Like, these things are all important. We have to do all of them, and consumer privacy is one of those many. And to have that be ignored by the people who are just, like, supposed to be protecting us from, you know, cable companies is really sad. Like, you are the Consumer Protection Bureau that is in charge here. Coincidence? I think not. Alright. Do I need to get into that gray thing? I feel like I do. Can't stand on top of the books. I must have to come in a different way, though, because there's no way I can jump over these bookcases. Aha! I was wrong. Okay. So yeah, so it is absolutely the case that we have a real need to improve our, you know, overall accessibility and availability of internet to all people in a way that has really been ignored up till this point in a sad and important way. Oh no, I used up all the life in that thing. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that cast I have to use in the blacksmith shop. I never... Well, so what's a retro JRPG? Like, Final Fantasy isn't a JRPG, right? But, like, Shinobi or something? I don't know. I think the answer is no. So I very rarely do RPGs because I only stream once or twice a week on retro games, which means that I feel like if I got stuck on an RPG, I would just be playing it forever. So I generally don't do a lot of RPG gameplay and don't end up with anything, and that's why. I mean, Trump is currently, like, the White House is currently under construction. And so I think that it is the case that Trump is, you know, he had to go somewhere, like you do when your office is under construction. And so I think calling it a vacation was perhaps a bit disingenuous. I feel bad that this is the same kind of basic fuck up that we did with, you know, Obama is like, oh, he can't like leave the Oval Office for even 12 minutes. On the other hand, like, Trump's defense of like this is a working trip or whatever is kind of like, you know, when you're spotted in the golf course the first day, that argument kind of goes out the window a little bit. And so he got a little of both, you know. I think that he's being unfairly picked upon for not being at the White House while it's under renovations, but at the same time, he never does any work. Like, this is a guy who's been golfing since day one. So why is he upset that we're saying, you know, mentioning he's golfing now? Like, fuck that noise. So no, I did watch Brad Pritchard play all of Suikoden, but I have not played Dragon Force. I have not done Final Fantasy on stream. Yeah, like, and right, and the hypocrisy is always a problem. I have at this point, like, abandoned caring about the hypocrisy with Trump because it's such a laughable joke. He just, like, he has no qualms about being a complete and utter hypocrite about everything he does, and so, like, I no longer call it out because it's it's never been effective and just won't be. But if you want to call it the hypocrisy, I am 100% with you on, you know, the general everything in that space. But this particular trip, meh. Like, the fact that the White House is under construction or, you know, restoration or whatever, and he can't be there because that's the case, is like, yeah, that shit happens. Yeah. I mean, like, this is a guy who spends most of his time watching cable TV. There is no... Alright. So, I feel like I have to use the crucifix cast here. Let's try that. No. Alright, talking to the book. Oops. Okay, so I'm assuming that I can't just do this. Nope. Okay. Where are the bellows? Oh, here's the bellows. Oh, that was not an approach. Alright. Lying secret, if you wanna give me hints on how to use this crucifix cast, I am willing to hear them. Feel free to backseat game me through this particular problem. Music is really good. I will say that. I have a problem with a lot of early 3D games because of camera angles and polygons and everything else like that, but this music is really good. Ah, okay. So I can't do anything yet. Maybe. Alrighty. So has anyone who's been here tonight noticed any lower latency than usual? Or is it not really noticeable? Yeah, chill, he did. I mean, Google operates generally within teams of 8 to 10 people, within larger teams of, you know, 8 to 10 teams. So my video infrastructure team's like 100 people, and my QE, the QE team, the quality experience team I work on is 10 people or 8 people within that, and other things like that. By the way, for all the newcomers, I am appreciating you hanging out here and spending time with us. Okay, inside but missed a staircase. So another thing I know is that I need to find a rune, because I know there's an earth rune that I went down the stairs on at one point. So we've got this staircase. Okay, so I need an earth rune. To clean the statue, lower pedestal. Am I a Republican or a Democrat? If you have not figured out from my comments on Trump what I most likely am, I'd say you have to think a little bit harder. No, I would identify as a Democrat generally. I am, generally speaking, also an extreme leftist to the point that I'm not even sure that Democrat applies. Okay, so I thought that pedestal was like making noise at me, so that maybe it meant I was gonna knock it over. Oh, I need to get the box. Let's move this box over. Nope. Oh, that was just them hitting me with their frying pans. Okay. Alright, so let's see. No, we don't allow Jake Paulers in this stream. We run them out on rails. Okay. I mean, the reality is that being independent really isn't like a relevant decision when it comes time to vote. Unless I'm running for office, being an independent doesn't really achieve anything because there are no independents to vote for in any major election. So while I may feel as if the principles of the Democratic Party don't represent me well, to say, oops. Okay, I don't care about that bottle. I don't think we're starting a city. Alright, I was tired of him. I realized I was not supposed to do that, but... Oh, okay, so lowering the statue was 100% not what I was supposed to do at that time. So Google is doing a big renovation to its Mountain View campus. I mean, the reality is that Google has, what, like 25,000 people who work on the Mountain View campus. It already is a town. And so they're going to be taking their Mountain View campus, which is already a massive thing, which puts many college campuses to shame for absolute size, and it is going to be putting it to, uh-oh.
Hurry, comrades, tear this place apart. If we don't find the shadow artifact, Lord Zarek will have us mocking out the demons for the next millennium.
Hurry, comrades! Alright, so I think what we need to do here is melt this bust. Nope. Okay, kill the boiler guards. Am I a snowflake? I mean, I don't think so, because I feel like that's a derisive term used to describe people who are perceived to overreact. Do I think that I react poorly to the abuse of women, minorities, refugees, other things like that in a way that, you know, Trump supporters on Twitter would call me a snowflake? Yes, absolutely. And I would call Trump supporters on Twitter assholes. So, you know. Gotcha. Elgato is a company that makes a number of tools for streaming, such as the Elgato HD60, which is a capture card which transfers video data from HDMI to USB, or the Elgato Stream Deck, which is a thing which looks like this. It has buttons you can push to control your stream, as well as a broadcast software called Elgato, I don't know what it's called, Game something. I'm probably going to get to the end of this whole charade and find out that melting this was never what I was supposed to do, but... But yeah, James, none of those things are required necessarily, right? So, for the first year I streamed, I basically streamed from a MacBook I had, and that's it. Like, I used the built-in webcam, the built-in mic, and streamed NES games from my laptop. There are certainly some things that made harder, but there's nothing it made impossible. And so I sometimes think that, god damn it. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Alright, so now I've got... I'm back to having more life, which is good, but I've got to go do some parts again. That's fine. Now I have a better idea of what to do. Oops. No, no, no. Alright. I guess the fact that this whole Landlord's Bus triggers an in-game event at least tells me it's probably necessary to finish the level. But yeah, so James, the answer on streaming, by the way, I realize people have asked this and I've been totally distracted because there's been a lot of questions tonight. On streaming, it is absolutely the case that you can get started with very little and make progress. There is no reason that you have to do the things that everyone says you have to do. There's no reason you can't be successful with, you know, less hardware or fewer tools or without like all the fancy things. It's in fact one of the things that I have written in my notes that on my, you know, to be created yet tutorial on live streaming is, you know, minimize your equipment, minimize the things that you have that you need to worry about, minimize all of that, because like especially when you're getting started, it's just going to be a distraction and is not helpful. So there's a lot of guides out there that are basically like, oh, set up alerts and set up, you know, this and set up that. And I think that that's actually harmful to the initial experience. When you're getting started, you want to be managing as little as possible. You don't want to have chat on screen, because then when people are saying things in chat, it's all the more stressful. You don't want to have, you know, you do want to have a friend who's going to help you out by being able to read chat to you and remind you to check it. You do want to do a bunch of other things like that, but you don't want to like make it all be about the technology. And I think that a lot of times established creators forget that. They forget what the experience was like to start. So, well, I mean, I don't minimize my equipment anymore. I minimized my equipment when I started. The first 6 months, I didn't buy anything. I bought a $6 controller from Micro Center, and that was it. And none of it is to say like you can't do that, but I think that to be overwhelmed by it is something that a lot of people do. So if you have a PS4, you can broadcast straight from the PS4 and see if you like it, because a lot of people won't like it. And so like that's a real thing to consider, is what if I don't like streaming? What if this is not the thing for me? Is this actually what I want to do? And is it worth, you know, investing more money, investing more time? I found the safe key. Cool. Why can't I read this? Yeah, I mean, like, stream from your phone. You know, like, if you want to do cooking streams or art streams or something else like that, just grab your phone, buy a $10, you know, GorillaPod for it, and stream from that. You don't have to have, like, the end-all be-all of hardware. Your phone is a perfectly excellent camera that you can use to get started with, and it has even built-in streaming software. So, Kirk Randolph, I've never been scared of crowds. I have been, you know, speaking professionally at conferences in front of hundreds. When I was, what, 21, I went and spoke in front of a conference of 750 people. You know, and that was kind of one of my first major public speaking gigs. So it's a little bit hard for me to say, because I've been doing shit like that for now, you know, 12 years before I was live streaming. But I know for a lot of people, just being able to speak to a camera is a challenge. Like, just being able to, you know, have a conversation when there's no one else in the room is difficult. And yes, Lying Secret, you're right. Not everyone has a smartphone, and I should remember that. I tend to forget because I live in a world where everyone has a smartphone. But even so, like, the average proportion of people who have smartphones is certainly relatively high at this point. Let me in. Okay, I guess that's not the approach. So I think VR is always going to be a niche technology. I think that what you're going to see it in first is theme parks. You know, we're already seeing it at Six Flags, and we're seeing it at other things like that. Okay, so clearly this chalice is not for me. Unsurprisingly, because I think I only have a little bit of fullness for it, but whatever. Well, so Kirk Randolph, you have to practice talking to yourself in a mirror, right? Like that's honestly what it is. If you can talk to yourself in a mirror and just like, you know, tell yourself things, then that's all it is. You're having a conversation. The fact that there's no one else listening to it at the time you're recording it doesn't make it any less of a conversation that you're having. So it's the case that you have to do that even when you're streaming. You know, it's a little bit easier for me because I have all you folks here, but it's absolutely the case that I have to have a conversation with myself. Okay, so what am I missing here? Maybe that chimney? Or that. Yes, Pokemon Go would generally be considered AR. Uh-oh. I let the bad guys in. Alright, so somewhere... Get the key item. You know, I mean... So what's the key item? I got the safe key, but I assume that's not it. Or is that it? So the mayor told me to get something from the safe key. So Brandon Allen, I have gotten some from... So a lot of what I do is just like pick a platform I'm going to play something on, and then I will look up like best games for blah. So Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, NES. I've played all the things that are listed in the best games categories for just about all of those. Does asking for subs help you gain subs? The advice in the YouTube Help Center is to make, so how do I, oh, is there a, I was like, so is that shadow artifact the thing you were talking about? I was like, that's weird that I came all the way in here and there's nothing in here, and I totally forgot I had a key to use. So I got my item now, I assume. So yeah, so the YouTube Help Center basically says make a a genuine, a sincere call to action at the time when engagement or emotion is highest. So at a time when people are actually pleased with your stream or your content is a time that's going to be there. So right after the payoff, be like, hey, you know, if you guys liked, you know, seeing this awesome thing where I did a trick on my skateboard, make sure you subscribe because I'm going to do another awesome thing next week. And so that's a way to shit. It's not a way to shit. It's a way to take advantage of that. And so yes, it will help you gain subs if you do it sincerely, if you do it in a genuine way. People who ask at the beginning of a stream for me are not going to get it. You know, if you the first thing is in your video is please subscribe to me, that's not going to work. Putting it at the end, oftentimes people have left already. So just being like, hey, you know, like right now, I might be like, hey, I see I've got a lot of new people here. I'm the Chris who plays games. We're just about to beat this level and take a quick break where you'll hear a little bit more from me. But if you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, make sure you subscribe because I play every Monday and Friday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And that would be a type of thing that people might pick up on and enjoy you know, and actually be willing to subscribe because something is, you know, different. So in this Hall of Heroes thing, is there a particular thing I should get? I mean, that's not so soon. I did like 8 levels. But I don't think the Nightbot thing is genuine, right? So I've got this person who I can get something from, I guess. Are there like other heroes, or is it just the one that I... Because I already got this guy's, I think.
Hurrah! I knew it would take more than an army of the evil.
I don't know if there's like a particular person who's best for me to go to. No, Super Fox 5. I mean, I don't know what raids to get subs would mean, but... Anyway, hello, Rares. Okay. So I can talk to this guy, maybe. No? Okay, so he doesn't like me. Okay, and he doesn't like me. I'm just... I mean, I'm okay. I had a... This weekend was rough. There's a lot of Google drama that... Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, okay. A 3rd life bottle's not bad. That's good. I don't know that that's what I would have chosen. But it didn't really seem like there was any other option, so... Because the other things weren't talking to me. Whatever. I got it. So yeah, the Google drama this weekend was stressful. I followed it closely, and it makes me sad. Yeah. The manifesto, which, I mean, really, no one knows how to write a manifesto anymore. That was clearly not a good manifesto, but, as someone who has written more than one manifesto in my time, I know a manifesto, and that was no manifesto. Alright. So we will save our progress, and I am going to take a quick break, but I'm not just going to let you sit here and stare at a blank screen. Oh, no. So what we're going to talk about while I'm gone is a little bit about retro streaming here on YouTube. So sit back and listen to me tell you things. Oh, fuckity fuck. Why, oh why? Why does that always reset is really the question. I always ask myself why I forget to do things, and it's like, no, why does, you know, OBS always forget what I wanted to do? Anyway, listen to past me tell you something that current you should know. I've been paying a little bit more attention to retro gaming and how retro gamers do on other platforms lately. Previously, I just paid a lot of attention to YouTube, and, you know, I realized the retro scene wasn't that big, and so on and so forth. And I know that a lot of people watch retro. Like, in my head, I have this idea that, of course, like, there's a lot of demand for retro content out there. But as I've paid more close attention, what I've come to realize is that, no, not really. There is certainly a huge demand for retro content that is speedrunning. Speedrunning or competitions or other things like that. There's a huge demand for it. You know, thousands of people will watch speedrunners. I mean, Seth Bling probably makes a tidy, you know, maybe not a princely sum, but makes a tidy sum every month off of his, you know, various hacks and other things like that around Super Mario Maker or Minecraft, or, you know, playing Atari on the Minecraft, or his Super Mario World credits hacks or other things like that. And so there's clearly a fair amount of demand for some of this type of content. But other than that, just people doing kind of run-of-the-mill gameplay of streams or anything else like that, there's not actually a lot of demand for it. And initially I thought this was a YouTube thing, right? Like, oh, YouTube has historically been, you know, not about this kind of live gaming stuff, and so the retro stuff isn't here, blah, blah, blah. And I looked recently at Twitch because I was having a conversation with people, and I was like, oh, it's not just YouTube. It's just that this content, like, is not really highly watched. So I looked through the top 50 games in Twitch, and there were no retro games that sorted by as Twitch's default by viewership. And there were 2 retro games in the top, which means that they were games that had more than, I think, like 300 people at the time watching. And there were 2 retro games at the top plus the retro category. But the 2 retro games that were near the top each had one person speedrunning with 1,000 to 3,000 people watching, and another like 3 or 4 streams with like 12 people watching. I'm like, oh, okay. So like A Link to the Past is totally possible to pull in like one person who does speedrunning and has 3,000 people watching, but there is no other audience for that. Like, there's no one else watching Link to the Past streams. You got 3,500 people here, and the rest of them have 14 put together. I said, okay, well, there's a retro category. Maybe I will just put stuff in the retro category, right? So I pulled up the retro category, which is like a mishmash of people putting things that would be on other games, but they want to be in retro. Maybe it's they have more discovery. I don't really understand why people use retro over other things. Maybe it's games they don't have. I don't know, right? And so I'm like, I don't know. I'll just do this anyway, right? And so I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, there's 700 people here, but the biggest stream has... Well, no, the biggest stream was another speedrun and had 500 people. And then the next biggest stream was 35. And I went through for a while more, and this is basically the trend I saw. Like, you know, you have one big stream where people are watching speedrunning, and then you have a handful of little streams. But there's no audience for, you know, 50 to 100 people watching a normal Let's Play of a retro game. It's just not there. It's not that I'm doing something wrong. I mean, I'm doing something a little bit wrong as far as that's what I'm playing, but it's not that I'm doing something wrong in that. And in fact, I think that one of the things I've come to believe is that Twitch does not have a lot of support for variety streamers to begin with. You know, changing games all the time is a way to is not an effective way to build an audience, because you'll get people who drift in and out as you play games and don't play games and everything else like that. It's just not really effective. But for retro specifically, I was a little bit surprised to realize like how much or how little, I guess, there was. It makes me feel a little bit better, right? If I can pull in 25 people here watching me play a retro game on a Monday night, like, I'm doing pretty good in the big scheme of things. You know, if I wanted to be a speedrunner, or if I wanted to create more interesting content, I could do that. But if I wanted to create non-gaming content, I could go do that, you know, instead. But for what I'm doing, I feel like I'm doing pretty well. And I feel like even on the days when I've only got 12, I feel like I'm doing pretty well. In the big scheme of things, there just is not a lot of audience for retro content on YouTube or Twitch or Beam or anything else like that. Yeah, sometimes you'll get a novelty stream, you'll get a speedrunner, you'll get something else like that. But the day-to-day average, there's just not that much out there. Bop. Me, why can't I push this button? Anyway, yeah, so Rares, thank you for stopping by. Lying Secret, have a good night. I'm sure you're long gone by now, as I was getting a drink and everything else like that, and reading that the Google employee was terminated for violations of the Code of Conduct, which is about what I expect, right? I mentioned that the issue is that some discussions are just not appropriate for a work environment, and perpetuating gender stereotypes is a violation of Google's Code of Conduct, which all employees agree to minimize their the bias, to do their best to minimize their bias. And so his document was harmful in that realm and did not do enough. Can I... No. I was gonna say I want to go out and actually just, like, recharge shit outside this level, but apparently I can't do that. I must search out the Jack of the Green. Okay, so I'm gonna assume I can kill people again without causing trouble for my chalices here, so... No, James, you don't get in trouble for saying anything, but you get in trouble for implying that 50% of the species is not worthy of being your coworkers for biological reasons. In the same way, if you said, I don't believe that redheads are as good of computer programmers, You cannot say, I don't believe that women are as good at computer programmers. It's just, it has no meaningful basis in reality, and no place for the workplace. I expect you would also be, you know, unable to find an employer who would be happy with you saying things like, I believe that we should, you know, support fascism. I believe that you would have a hard time finding people who can say, you know, we should. There's a lot of things that are inappropriate, but it's not nothing. It's just totally unacceptable. You know, political views are totally unacceptable. That's good, Nico. Positive responses are good. So yeah, I mean, the manifesto from the Googler espoused a generally similar thought, specifically that, you know, you get in trouble for saying anything nowadays. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this even, and he did get in trouble for saying it, but not because that he said something, but because of what he said. It just it's not something you can say. It's not something you should say, period. But it's not something you can say at work. Oh, you're better than me, gaming lawyer. Well, so the question is, like, I don't actually have a job offer, so I didn't know how to answer that part. But if I treated my current salary, I think I was 1 point over. I gotcha. Yeah, so I think I get if I counted what it as what I make now, then it was I was 1 point over, I think. Drunken Solitaire. I mean, I like the now because I feel like all the things that we look back on, that I look back on, that I'm like, holy shit, like we were extremely rude and everything else like that to a whole bunch of people who I now care about. Like, how was I so not woke that I referred to, you know, that gay was an insult that I thought was okay to use? How was I so, you know, dismissive of an entire, you know, everything? And some of this comes down to, I look around and say, like, how did I not realize, you know, these things that in hindsight are very obvious about other people who are my friends and allies in the overall space? Like, that we should be respectful to other people. You know, people oftentimes say, like, I'm tired of all the political correctness. And at some point, I think I saw someone say, you know, political correctness is just another way of saying treating other people with kindness. And I'm tired of all this, you know, treating people with kindness is an emotion that I see people have, but it's certainly not one I share. I think it's totally appropriate to treat people with kindness, and I am disappointed that I ever didn't. So I look at that as something that we should all try to do in our lives. We should all do our best to treat others as we would want to be treated. We should all do our best to treat each other with kindness, and not be dicks. So yeah, I am just peachy keen, drunken solitaire. I've been ranting a little bit about Manifest Bro, the Googler who recently wrote an anti-diversity targeted screed, and his beliefs that women are less capable of being software engineers, because we all know that the fact that I have a penis makes me a better software engineer, except, you know, the opposite of that. I feel like somehow I've got to be able to get in to here. I don't know how. Anyway, yeah, so Drunken Solitaire is another streamer. Still doing YouTube, right? I lose track. Everyone's switching to Twitch or Mixer or whatever else is the hotness these days. I lose track of everybody. So I think he thought, I don't know. It's so hard for me to figure out. I feel like it's one of those, you know, this is just in such bad judgment things. It's hard for me to figure out if he's just really, really unaware of the world around him to a criminally negligent degree, or if he's acting in bad faith. And I swing back and forth. Alright, what am I missing here? That must be it, gaming lawyer. I agree.
Well done, Sir Knight. But my star riddle was but a trifle. I always like to begin with an easy one. Return hither. You will not find my next conundrum so simple.
Kenzo, people are here watching me. Why would they go watch your shit? Like, isn't that kind of mean? If someone's watching your shit, do you really think that I would walk in and be like, hey, check out my... Like, he's not here. Why am I talking to him like he's a human being? He's just a robot. A robot with no respect for other people. Respect is important, dude. Makes me sad. Okay. Come hither. What? Where is hither? Hither, thither, and yon. Tell you what, Kenzo, if you give me $5 via Super Chat, I will watch one of your songs live on stream and we'll all listen to it. Not that he's here. We know he's not here. I don't know. Sad, cranky. Hooah! Hooah! Yeah! Return to Jack. Alright, who is Jack? It's probably a gaming lawyer. Okay, so somehow I've got to find Jack, who is a character I think I talked to at the beginning of the level. Oh, wait, I know. Jack is this guy. I found him. Hello, Jack. I have come hither.
I live for laughter. I live for the crowd. Without it, I am nothing.
That's me. I live for the crowd. Speaking of merch, I'm actually wearing my SnapClickKat shirt. Can't see it very well. Go away, me. It says cheers, clink, and it has a mouse hand, or cat hand. Boop. Yeah! She's got a whole shop with like 18 shirts. Sad masks. Okay, so this one seems to last a long time, so we'll do that. That one's really short, so we won't do anything there. Turn that there. Tap behind that. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Close my mouth. Alright. So there's a trick to this that I'm missing. Because it's not purely time-based like I thought it was. Or it doesn't appear to be. Ah! Alright. Haha!
Yes.
Alright.
Very clever, I'm sure. Return in haste, sir.
Hey, Retina!
I wish to see the despair on your face when you hear my next cryptic puzzler.
I remember seeing you before, Retina. Yes, absolutely. I have a memory like an elephant, or a sieve, something like that. One of the two. I'm not sure which. Alright.
Like a tree, skin like the sea, a great beast I be, yet vermin frighten me.
I think Scandinavian voices make the best narration voices, personally. This is something I've been discovering as I listen to more Lemino. He's done a bunch of pieces on things like the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle and other things like that, mostly pointing out that there is no mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. It's a bunch of silly claptrap, largely perpetuated accidentally by a science fiction and fantasy fiction, or a science fiction and fantasy fictional magazine, and carried forward because people, you know, like fake mysteries. But, yeah. Alright. Got the Chaos Rune. Oh, shit. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. I got the magic pixel keeping me alive, but that's about it. Not looking good. Alright, open this up. Damn it! So I gotta read the whole level now, but at least this time I will be much better prepared. But yeah, I was trying to record a CPG rant last night, but pretty much every time I was anywhere close to having the right emotional energy for having a CPG rant, I just suddenly was like, oh, god damn it, like, stupid person. Because I basically just worried about the Google thing all weekend.
Greetings, Sir Fortescue.
No, I don't want coffee. I appreciate the thought, but... I intentionally drink one Coke at... Excuse me. I drink one Coke at 9 o'clock, and after that I do not drink any Coke until after, like, I don't drink any more Coke. So that way I stay up until the end of my stream, which is about 1:15 in the morning, but I stay up about 4 hours after I drink a Coke. So if I started one now at 12:06, I would be up until 4 in the morning, and since I have to be up again at 7 in order to help my daughter get off to work, that would go poorly for me. So I've got it pretty set up. I do get a little bit laggard at the end of streams, and that's part of the reason why I have my pre-recorded content that I use at the end of streams as well, is in order to kind of fill in the gaps from the fact that I know that I become less entertaining as the night goes on, but I don't want to be up until 4 in the morning. As much as I love you all, and I know that you would all love to see me do that, it's easier on Saturday. On Saturday I can stay up late, like I will drink a Coke a little bit later sometimes, but mostly I just solve that problem with alcohol, because when I'm drunk I also have trouble falling asleep. Okay. Oh, so Gaming Lawyer, this weekend there was a leaked document from inside Google written by a Google software engineer, which basically it basically argued in a not atypical fashion of many men's rights activists and other things like that, that you know, we should really reconsider our diversity efforts and look at them scientifically and blah, 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 because we all know that women are just less capable than men at software development. And therefore, you know, we should really try and figure out why we are spending all of this energy on diversity efforts and lowering the bar to, you know, allow this to happen. And so what has happened at the moment is, and it was kind of couched in this language of, you know, conservative voices at Google can't be heard anymore, and obviously no one is willing to, you know, listen to these voices, and I'm unwilling to even say this, and it's been proven that, you know, leftists feel this way, and rightists feel this way, and evolutionary psychology, and blah, 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 blah. Like, just a bunch of tropes that are very typical. No, this isn't a big way, Google. This is just a guy. It's just like some guy who wrote this on his own time, and he shared it with a bunch of his employees, or his coworkers. The problem is that sharing this information with your coworkers is, like, implicit, is bad, right? Like, how can you work with someone who believes that women are less valuable? How can you, you know, expect that he's going to give you a good, you know, peer review? How can you believe that he is able to set aside this very obvious bias and anything else he's going to do working with you? Like, you can't. And so at that point, you completely poison the well on interacting with this person anymore. Oh, James Moore, I'm 33. I have 2 daughters. One is 20 years old as of yesterday, and one is 13 years old. Or 16 years old. Yeah. 20 and 16? Yeah, that's right. I've been parenting for about 14 years, since the girls were 6 and 3 when I became a step-parent with my lovely wife, Mrs. Painstakingly Played, who was here earlier. So yeah, this is just a nobody, but because this document quickly made the rounds internally, and I think due to some other aspects of exactly how it was shared, it spread quickly and became quite widely known. Oh.
Well done, Sir Knight, but my star riddle was but a trifle.
Hello, Hunty!
Return hither. You will not find my next conundrum so simple.
But yeah, so basically, someone, like, the existence of this document effectively leaked by various women saying on Twitter, like, Jesus Christ, this is ridiculous. And it got picked up by, like, Gizmodo or one of those tech sites. And then once the existence of it leaked, it was about 24 hours before the text of it leaked, because it was this, like, you know, there was enough commentary that it was clear that this was something that was kind of a major issue, and the so once the text of it leaked, that was basically what the entire, you know, internet spent its weekend on, was this. And so there's a lot of back and forth on Twitter, which I follow, or other things like that, that were along the lines of, you know, how much do you actually believe this, or can you believe that people still believe this, or it should not be up to women to constantly defend their ability to be normal human beings, or other things like it. No, I'm not playing I mean, I'm going to play the rest of this game at some point, but not today. So I'm gonna finish up at about 1 in the morning, and then finish the stream up on Friday.
Skin like the sea, a great beast I be, yet vermin frighten me.
Yeah, gaming lawyer. I mean, I'm not sure that 40% is accurate. I think that, but I did say that the most disappointing thing about the document as it was that, you know, in any group of 4 men talking about it, one of the 4 doesn't see anything wrong with it. And it was kind of funny because my tweet about that, I got four responses from men, and the fourth response was from someone who didn't see anything wrong with it, which was an amusing, like, I was like, you have to just be doing this for irony's sake at this point. Like, you cannot be serious. But he was, because I saw his name on several other people's comments talking about this. So at pretty much anyone who he saw talking about this, he decided to sea lion them into silence, or at least into annoyance over this document, which is kind of like, ugh, good God, like, you're such a jerk. But yeah, so I will probably not finish this game tonight, but I will finish it at some point. Alright. Oh, right. I need to go a different way. I have 10 megabit per second upstream. I use about 3.5 for my streams. I don't need more than that for the types of games I play usually. Get away from me. Damn it. Yeah, so I've got 5010. I had 25.5 for a long time. Living in a city definitely helps because we live in a crazy country where you can't get internet outside cities. Yeah, but I had 25.5 for a long time. Before that, I actually had DSL for my internet. I upgraded specifically because the YouTube app wouldn't play on my Apple TV back in 2014. So I upgraded to cable so I could watch YouTube. Oh no, White Mouse, where did you go? There you go. Come on, White Mouse. Follow me. Hello, Modern Retro. Good to see ya. Oh, glad to have everybody here tonight. Hunty and everyone who's new and old. Oh yeah, take care, James. I hope you have a lovely night. White Mouse, where did you go? Follow the White Rabbit. Where did you go? You give up? So confused. He's right behind me. Now he's gone. Fuck. Well, it's not that AT&T hates you, it's just that you live in Ohio where AT&T can't make any money off of you. No, it's not Alice in Wonderland, it's the Matrix, come on. Alright, we got rid of that stupid dragon, which took entirely too many hits from me, but whatever. What are you doing? What? Confused. I thought it was gonna work. Oh, I have to get him to avoid the gray cats? Ugh! Yeah, follow the white rabbit is the message that Neo gets that is used to get him to Trinity at the club. Oh, dude, over here. Stay away from the cats. There we go.
Did you spot my bluff? I pretended that riddle was hard, but in truth it was obviously inevitable. This time, however, I almost pity you. The answer to my next vexing enigma has eluded the finest minds of a whole generation. Come to me.
It was your first stream. Congratulations. I did too, Hunty. Apparently we were both wrong. Ah! Oh, crap. Ah! Alright, so my goal for tonight is actually just to finish this level. I'm like not very far. No, I guess I'm like about halfway through if we do this. So yeah, so the problem is that I went into this, what I really should have done, and I realized this that right after I entered the level both times, is go back and fill up my life meter on an earlier level. So I'm gonna go do that. So I've got multiple thingies now that I can go and do something with. Save scum more aggressively, but I mean the reason I haven't been save scumming is because I haven't had like a full life bar, which is what I really wanted. So I'm gonna come back here and get a full life bar, which should fix my problem. Alright, so now I have full life bar. That in there. And fill her up again. All right. Cool. So the PS4 uses very, very low bit rates. So the PS4 uses a bit rate around we're on the Enchanted Earth. No, we're inside the Asylum. The Asylum Grounds inside. And so in my experience, the PS4 uses something like as like completely silly for bit rates. Why do I have no? I lost my club. Oh, I finished off my club and then I didn't switch. Okay, well, let's not start off by completely like losing health right away. So streaming straight from the PS4 does really crappy bit rates around 2.5 megabits per second for 720p, and like 500 kilobits per second for 480p, and like it's really bad. I don't know specifically if they have anything better when you do. I think they have the ability to do HFR now, and maybe with HFR they have slightly higher bit rates, but they put, you know, as much as I complain about YouTube's bit rates being low, Sony has just decided that bit rate isn't really a thing. And so occasionally I will just watch something, and I think they were on there, like, if you use their low setting, like even on 720p, it will do like 500 kilobit per second 720p on low, and it's like, what are you doing? Shit. I mean, I think the PlayStation only does 30 FPS even for non-broadcast on the normal PlayStation, right? Like, an Elgato doesn't help with that. You can't capture, like, although you can capture a 30 FPS screen and broadcast it at 60 FPS, it's not like it's meaningful. Alright.
Well done, sir. But my star riddle is not a trifle. I always like to begin with an easy one. Return hither. You will not find my next conundrum so simple.
I probably will, because I've already done it twice.
I live for laughter. I live for the crowd. Without it...
Without it, I am nothing. Damn. Screwed it up. Oh, friggity frick. No, I mean, the consoles go, so the PS Pro goes to 60 FPS. The Xbox, certainly the Scorpio goes to 60 FPS, although I'm not sure about the Xbone. So... What the fuck? Am I doing this in the wrong order? Right, bottom, left, top, left, bottom, right. There we go. I think I was doing them in the wrong order.
Yes, it was a clown. Very clever, I'm sure. Return in haste, Sir Knight, for I wish to see the despair on your face when you hear my next cryptic puzzler.
But yeah, so, I mean, the consoles have the benefit that they all tend to perform, they all do perform the same, right? So game developers can optimize for the specifics of a console, and it will run the same way across all the consoles that are of that type. And there's no, like, you know, there's no trickery or which graphics card do you have or frame drops or anything else like that. Like, if it plays, it plays, it plays, it plays across all PlayStations, which is not the case, obviously, with PCs. PCs have always been more variable, you know, all the way back to the Commodore days, in you know, having a bunch of different performance characteristics, and developers can optimize for different cards in different ways. I mean, Brad and I have joked that Golf Club is literally like the worst optimized game in all of gaming, and other things like that, but it is definitely, you know, the case that modern consoles can be competitive with PCs for the actual performance or behavior in at least some ways. But I mean, a lot of this is just like, where are you in the generations? I mean, consoles at this point are really just single-use PCs, so his legs are very froggy, I agree. Alright, where's Mousy Mouse? Mousy Mouse is this way. Come on, Mousy Mouse. Oh, I forgot that part. Okay, I need to go get my Chaos Rune. Yeah, I mean, part of it is my tired face, right? Like, it's getting to be past midnight, and so some of my energy and enthusiasm does start to wear off at some point.
I pretended that riddle was
blah,
hard,
blah,
but in
blah.
truth, it was obviously an elephant. This time, however, I almost pity you. The answer to my next vexing enigma has eluded the finest minds of a whole generation.
I'm doing okay. Oh, that was not super useful. Okay, so I clearly need to actually go back to get his other riddle, because otherwise I don't get any. It doesn't put the things out. So let's go do that. You hate modern consoles? Why do you hate modern consoles? I think while I'm over here, I'll probably also want to kill all these, like, granny ladies, because I think it's my only chance of getting the chalice, which I probably actually want, so I can get more weapons or bits or whatever, so. Come here, grannies. Okay, I think there's one or two more in here. I mean, Nintendo is different, but it is worth noting that even the modern Nintendo consoles are actually acting more PC-like. You know, you can actually do, I think, Unity development on the Switch, which you didn't used to be able to. Oh, you love Nintendo these days. You and Ghastly Chew would get along. He's a big Nintendo fanboy at the moment, so... Although I think there was, at one point, there was a consideration that Nintendo consoles were just going to be Android, but I think they didn't end up doing that. Oh, it's not Unity that's new? Okay. I know their dev kit is now like 1/4 the price that it used to be. Ah, Unreal, okay. Come here, granny lady. Saw you. Alright, now I can get the chalice, which is good. I mean, I don't think they're all based on custom Linux OSs, I think. Like, all three of them. Well, Xbox is based on a Windows-based OS, probably, but...
I tolerate the moon and stars.
But I know that the PS4 is some variant of Linux. I don't know what they are. I don't think they're graves. There were some graves earlier, and I'm certainly in like a weird courtyard thing, but I don't think that they're supposed to be graves. But it's hard to tell. You know, games like this, they're just kind of like, you do what it is and don't question too much. Especially with me, you know, I'm not really a questioner type. I'm just kind of like, we'll just go through the game. Whatever will be, will be. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see.
It took me ages to come up with that darkness one. Very well. Outrageous as it seems, my vast intellect has been matched by your badly decomposed brain. Return at once and I shall give you your prize.
Well, Mr. 32 Bits, I am happy to have you here for any length of time.
You think you're so clever, don't you? Here you are, Sir Clever Clogs. I grant you free passage through my maze. Find your own way out.
It is 100% 4K. 4K, 27 megabit per second, VP9, accelerated garbageness. Yeah, no. Ba-ba-da-ba. So 8K resolutions do exist. They're not fully specified yet, but they are definitely a thing. You are starting to see, you're starting to see more 8K used in production. So there's actual, like, the Red cameras actually shoot in a proprietary 8K format, and the goal there is to give you enough, like, so most like professional shops shoot in resolution much higher than they produce in, and so they're shooting in 4K in order to produce output in 1080p. It's a very similar idea here where I'm confused why this one won't move. I need you to come over here. Hmm. Yeah, I feel like I must be doing something wrong. Oh. Well, that's not working either. Like, he's got empty squares on the diagonals. Also, I moved him when I first came in. I swear he was not standing there. All the rest of them can't move anymore. I don't see a reset button either. I mean, it looks like a bishop, but hitting it at an angle should work then too. Like, I'd be happy to go around, but it's not like it's moving in that direction either. Okay, I just wasn't walking at enough of an angle somehow. Yeah, so this is just like, it will only move on an angle, but the angle that it will move at is very small. There we go. Whatever. Whew.
It's the Hall of Heroes shopping mall.
Good night, Nean CX. Alright, so you already talked to... You don't want to talk to me.
Ah, Fortescue, what's this I hear? Never mind, you old war. Here, take my...
Yes, I will take your warhammer.
Nonsense, Fortescue. I won't take no for an answer. Knock up.
I doubt that Papyrus was what came directly from this, but certainly there are some potential inspiration there. Yeah, I stream Monday and Friday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, so I'll be back at Friday, probably playing this game again, just so we can finish it off. So feel free to come back then, and I will be happy to see you then. And I think with that level complete, I'm actually going to call the stream for the night. Gamer Insanity, it's good to see you. Unfortunately, I'm tired. Plus, there's probably a lot of Twitter reading that I have to catch up on, since my former coworker is no longer my coworker after his anti-diversity screed earlier this week. However, I will... Alright, so for those of you who've been around for a while, you've seen my social watching playlists. Should we do a social watch playlist, or should we do a raid? It's not late for Monday night. I usually go until 1:15 on Mondays as well as on Sundays or Fridays. Social watch playlist. Any other votes? Hey, Snarly Charlie. Yeah, so since I'm gonna be up for a little bit, this one, right? Yeah. So since I'm gonna be up for a little bit, we can do a social watch playlist. Give me a couple minutes here. So, yeah, so I'm the Chris who plays games. It's been a fun night playing this game with you. As I said, I do this every Monday and Friday. Was it logged up high? Reordered up high, blah, blah, blah. I do this every Monday and Friday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, going until about 1:15 p.m. a.m. Eastern Time the next day. I play retro games on Monday, whatever I feel like on Friday. If you have a game that you would like me to play, what you should do is put it in the game suggestion form linked in the description below. As we finish up tonight, what we're going to do is go hang out on a special part of my website. So if you're on mobile, hide to a computer, and we're gonna watch some videos together. So I've got a whole little social watching thing that we can do together. So we'll all watch videos at the same time and make fun of them. I've got a whole playlist of like 4 hours of videos, which we won't watch all of, but we will watch some of. So if you're interested in that, please stick around. Give me about 3 minutes here. Or less, just to finish configuring this, because I didn't do it beforehand, because I never do. Is that the right playlist? It is. Okay, so now I should be able to do this. Yeah, so we are going to go here to chrisplaysgames.com/watch, and we're going to watch some videos together. So hop in there, hang out, have fun. We're going to end this stream now, and we will see you again on Friday if you would like. Other than that, thank you for being here, and have a lovely night. Yeah, it's good to see you, Hunty. It's good to see you, Gamer Insanity. But if you want to keep hanging out and chatting, go to that website. Thank you all. Have a good night.